When some dude talks back to that angel, she literally blows his head off. That angel-like creature is pure evil. She shows up out of nowhere and drags people into a messed-up game world where they have to fight monsters again and again. She loves watching lowly humans die, smiling as they fall one after another. But there's one guy who stands out. Ryu Min easily handles the monsters and grabs first place among all the humans. Then he pulls a move so bold it shocks everyone, even the angel herself. He demands a better reward for coming in first. That pisses her off, so she cooks up a plan to get rid of him. She's already used her power to kill a player once, and she can't do it again without breaking the rules. So instead, she suggests they talk in private. They head into a nearby forest. As they walk, she can't stop thinking about how much she hates greedy, stupid humans. But she still can't just kill him outright. It's against the rules, and the higher-ups would punish her. So she lures him deeper into the forest, far from any witnesses, planning to later claim he tried to leave the map and got punished for it. When they reach the right spot, she turns around, and the only thing she sees is a fist. She crashes to the ground, staring at her own blood, unable to believe a human dared to hit her. When she looks up again, he's gone. Then Ryu Min appears right behind her, grabbing her by the wing and the throat. He rips her wings apart one by one, completely ignoring her screams. Now that she can't escape, he pulls a dagger from his inventory and kills her with a single clean strike. As her body hits the ground, a system message appears. Ryu Min has become the first player ever to kill an angel. As a reward, he gains the title First Angel Slayer, which doubles all his stats when fighting divine creatures. He also obtains Angel's Blood, allowing him to unlock the Grim Reaper class. And finally, he receives the Rune of Slaughter, which increases all his stats by 1% for every enemy he kills until the end of the round. You might wonder why Ryu Min is so strong and bold, enough to kill an angel right from the start. The truth is, this is his 100th regression. He already knows everything, and this is how it all began. On his 99th regression, he solo killed the guardians of the final boss, but still couldn't enter the door leading to it. The reason was simple. The system required a minimum of 5 players to enter. Because he was alone, the system wiped him out. And now, here he goes again, right at the moment before the game starts. This time, it's his 100th and final regression. Right when the crowd starts cheering and shouting to celebrate the new year, an unfamiliar sound breaks through the noise. The voice mocks humans in a twistedly amused tone, calling them laughable for being so full of themselves despite having no clue about what's about to happen. Everyone freezes in confusion, and one by one they rush toward the sound, only to see a radiant woman slowly descending from the sky with an angelic glow. She looks down at them like they're nothing, casually comparing humans to pathetic monkeys trapped inside a cage. The humans watch in awe, completely drawn in by the surreal sight unfolding in front of them. Many think it's just a high-tech hologram, while a few can't help admiring the angelic lady's stunning beauty. Even Min gazes at her, though for him it's far from fascinating since he's been through this exact moment repeatedly for the past 99 years. And frankly, he finds it more insulting than impressive by now. The angel lady smirks with that same condescending look and mocks the humans for falling in love with her so easily. One guy, clearly irritated by what he thinks is just some elaborate prank, points at her and demands to know who she is, asking if this is some ridiculous cosplay skit or a street drama with flying props. The moment he casually calls her a floating tissue paper, Min instantly knows this man has just sealed his fate. Right then, her eyes glow a deep, furious crimson, and in one swift motion, she slices off the man's head in a fit of madness. His blood splashes across the crowd, leaving everyone frozen in terror and soaked in fear. The once graceful lady now stands as a merciless figure, declaring this as rightful punishment for a lowly human who dared speak against someone above his kind. With a sharp voice and a chilling gaze, she warns the rest that if anyone else chooses to question her, they too will meet the same end without mercy. When the room finally quiets down, she asks everyone to pay attention and starts laying out the situation. Min just rolls his eyes, thinking it's as dull as those endless school announcements from the principal. She says they're about to play a game that lasts 20 rounds, with one round happening each month. She adds that their souls will be whisked away to another dimension for the challenge. In that other world, all they have to do is finish the quest they get. She says once they wrap up their quests, they'll be sent back to reality with a reward. Everyone looks puzzled by the vague explanation, wondering if finishing the quest actually guarantees they'll survive. Just as they start overthinking survival, the angelic lady steps in and says that even though it sounds like completing the quest could save them, it doesn't actually guarantee their lives. She drops the truth that only half of them will make it out alive, based on their ranks and achievements. As panic spreads, she calmly notes that only humans between 15 and 29 years old will be taken, leaving everyone else behind. An old guy bursts out laughing, shouting that he survived, which instantly angers one of Yangmin's underlings who grabs him by the collar and looks ready to fight. Yangmin steps in fast, silences the guy, and tells him to get his head around the situation unless he wants things to literally blow up. Right after that, the angelic lady announces that over 18 million people will join this game, and she kicks off the teleportation process right away. Everyone is sent to a spot where they can't see each other and are asked to create their avatar before the soul transfer starts. She warns them to choose carefully because they won't get a second chance. Min picks the same avatar he's used for the past 99 lives and names it Black Scythe again. After confirming his pick, he finds himself standing in a grassy field. He's had this exact body for as long as he can remember, and now it feels more real than anything else ever has. Right then, the rest of the participants get teleported in too. None of them look especially scared, and one guy even tries to act like a hotshot, asking his friend if he looks like him. Min already gets what's happening. Everyone tried to look as handsome or cute as possible, but anyone with half a brain would skip that, because flashy looks just make them easy targets, and once they're dead, they're gone for good. Just as Min wonders where the bully is, young Min shows up flaunting a shiny, overly muscular body. The guy goes all in again, creating the most jacked build he can. While everyone enjoys the novelty of their new bodies and the brief mood shift, the angelic woman appears out of nowhere and notes that everyone seems to be having a good time with their avatars. Her presence alone instantly kills the vibe, and tension floods back as panic sets in about what's coming next. One of the humans points out that the group doesn't look like 1,000,000 people, which makes the angelic lady frown and sternly explain that this isn't the only location, and other groups are gathered with other angels. Before the first round starts, the big mad angelic lady gives a quick rundown and tells them to picture a status window in their minds. Min pulls up his own status panel and instantly feels annoyed, knowing he'll have to grind through all those levels from scratch again. After everyone checks their status window, the lady points out they're basically noobs right now, which any gamer could guess. She tells them to start getting stronger and adds that if they somehow clear 20 levels, they won't just survive, they'll also get a free wish. Then she tells them to think of an inventory because she left a little gift for each of them. Everyone checks and finds a single rune piece waiting inside. The big mad angelic lady explains that this random rune piece is a one-time use item that can only be activated while they're still at level 1. She says it's a unique item given only right now and explains how they're supposed to use it. Yangmin wastes no time and activates his right away, looking genuinely amazed by the result. The big mad angelic lady casually remarks that everyone will be satisfied with whatever they receive, and once the runes are fully engraved, she finally reveals their quests. Right then, a quest window pops up in front of each person, telling them to eliminate 100 goblins each. The goblins start appearing all around, forcing the humans to stay on high alert. It suddenly feels like someone commercialized virtual reality, and they've all been snatched as test subjects for a new game. The big mad lady then unleashes a wave of 10,000 goblins against a group of 5,000 defenseless, completely inexperienced humans, ordering them to fight with the clear intent to kill. Min calmly steps forward, walks toward the monsters, draws everyone's attention, and in a flash crushes a goblin like it's nothing, making the whole thing look way too easy. Min knows first impressions stick around almost forever, and for some reason he wants everyone to remember exactly who he is. He thinks the simple reason is that he wants to keep all the annoying pests far away, so he needs to make it clear how strong he is. On top of that, he also wants to catch the angelic lady's attention. To hit all those goals at once, he puts on a performance so overwhelming that everyone watching wonders if he's some elite soldier straight out of a secret military program. And to top it off, they think his nickname Black Scythe is seriously cool. Watching Min go at it like a total pro fires up everyone around him, and they decide to give it a shot too, thinking goblins should be the weakest monsters anyway. Just when they start getting cocky, a goblin suddenly pounces out of nowhere and drives its dagger straight through a human, making it clear this is no harmless tutorial fight. The moment that happens, panic explodes, and instead of helping, everyone just turns tail and runs for their lives. The goblins quickly swarm the crowd and start slashing through people, turning things into a chaotic mess. Min knows exactly what's going through their minds. Most of them probably thought this was just a game, but he's sure their survival instincts will kick in any second now, and when that happens, all they'll do is run, leaving everyone else behind without a second thought. Min had done the same once, and it took him 2 whole lives to finally understand there's no point in running away from the monsters here. A girl who tries to run crashes straight into an invisible barrier, making it painfully clear to everyone that they have no other choice. They have to fight. For modern humans who have never even had to kill an insect, being forced to slay goblins just to survive pushes them into a corner, and now the only way they'll make it through is by completely changing who they are. One after another, people start dropping, and those barely hanging on cry out for someone to save them. Meanwhile, the big mad angelic lady seems to be enjoying the massacre, fully aware that while goblins may be weak individually, they become terrifying when they attack in swarms and start using weapons. What's more, she finally starts to show a bit of interest in our boy, just as he had hoped. The lady finds it frustrating that she can't peek into the player's information beyond their quest progress, feeling it's beneath her, especially for someone of her caliber. Honestly, she thinks watching Black Scythe is pretty entertaining. Min keeps slicing through the goblins, so easily it looks like child's play. Only a quarter of his target is left, so he speeds up, cutting them down mercilessly until the remaining goblins start to run away. That gives him a quick breather, and in that pause he opens his status menu and sees he's reached level 4. Each time you level up you get 2 stat points, and Min puts all of his into speed. He knows that in this heavenly game the speed stat boosts both attack speed and movement speed, and from his experience, he's learned there's no stat more important than speed at the start of the game. After putting on a show to catch the angel's attention, Min decides it's time to wrap things up fast. He throws his blade like Mowgli's whip, and it comes back, knocking out a few monsters. The remaining goblins realize they have no chance and freeze. Min walks up, finishes them off, making sure they all die, and finally completes his quest. Right after he breezes through the first round, Min pauses to think about what he just did. He realizes he went all out on the goblins not just to get the angel's attention, but also to be the first player on both the personal and world map to finish the quest. A golden quest window appears, showing he finished the quest in 10 minutes and 21 seconds, making him the first. Min knows the top 3 winners get special rewards, and by coming in first, he earns a base-tier rare weapon ticket and a unique reward box for being number 1 on the world map. Min opens the rewards from his first place finish on the player map and sees a bunch of weapons. From the choices, Min picks the stiletto, a beginner-level dagger, and tosses the useless one he used to finish the round. He decides to save the world map reward for later, checks his status menu, and sees everyone around him still struggling with the weak goblins. Min then looks at the title he earned, the Last Time Traveler, which he's never gotten in his past 99 lives. Curious, he uses the rune he got and receives the rune of Time Reversal. Just as it starts to engrave onto his body, the system tells him there are leftover effects from the rune, so the engraving fails. Min isn't surprised. If the rune had engraved successfully, it could have created an endless time reversal glitch, which would be way too powerful. The system also tells Min that because of his 100 regressions, he has unlocked a new title. Min gets that titles are an upgraded form of runes in the game. Looking at the details of his new title, he sees it gives him the ability to fully revive once after death. Min remembers the revival skill is usually only for priests, and even they can only revive someone with 30% health. His title, though, is far more powerful, offering a full recovery. Min is amazed by his title's power and quickly uses the system's hide feature to keep it secret. After he's done checking everything, he wonders if anyone else finished the quest and how young Min, the bully, is doing. He spots young Min fighting with his friends and knows he'll survive the round too. As the number of humans catches up to the goblins, the angel gets bored and decides to summon more goblins to keep the chaos going. Meanwhile, the bodies of the fallen humans start disappearing, leaving their loved ones crying in despair. A massive wave of 50,000 goblins overwhelms the humans, who struggle to beat them. The qualification count keeps climbing until it finally passes 5,000, making the goblins disappear. Those who didn't qualify are sent away as they vanish into thin air, leaving no trace. One guy keeps shouting at the big bad angel lady that he only needs to kill one more, but the game rules stay the same. Only half of the people in each round are meant to qualify. The survivors who make it to the next round are terrified when they see their fallen comrades disappearing. The big bad angel lady tells them to be grateful for surviving and urges them to try harder if they want to make it through the second round. Before she lets them go, the system shows their rewards and the leaderboard. Everyone gets 1,000 gold coins, which they can use to buy items from the store once it unlocks at level 10. Thanks to the leaderboard, everyone now knows about our guy, just like he planned. His first place ranking catches the angel's attention, and she asks how he got so strong, wondering if he got some broken rune. Our black scythe mocks her, asking if she can't see which rune he got. The lady instantly changes her tune, claiming she knows everything to keep her reputation. Min then asks the angel if he can ask her a question too, saying the reward he got for being first isn't enough for his stomach. That infuriates the angelic lady when he asks for a better reward. She demands Min repeat what he just said, and without a second thought he does, only making her angrier. The lady scowls in rage, wondering how a lowly human could be dissatisfied after taking down a bunch of goblins. In her fury, she thinks about blowing Min's head off, but then remembers she already used that trump card, and the right to kill was only a one-time thing. She regrets wasting it on another human, but then a new idea hits her. She asks Min if he really needs a better reward. The angel explains that normally the rules would stop her from doing that, but she might consider making an exception. She tells the other humans to hold up, because she needs to talk to Min alone. Chaos breaks out in the crowd as they wonder if haggling is normal in this game, and some start thinking about asking her for better rewards too. Everyone gets suspicious about how big the reward could be, since she's taking Min away, and a few even get jealous of his luck. Min follows the lady deep into the jungle, staying at a careful distance. She notices and tells him to keep up. Angry, she sees humans as just pests that only listen when shouted at, but she lets the anger fade. She knows she can't mess with the game system, which was made by the higher beings. A smirk spreads across her face as she realizes she has a devious plan. After they pass a certain point, she plans to kill our boy. She knows that killing a human for personal reasons could cause serious trouble. After all, she doesn't have the authority to do it, and she could be punished for disrupting the game. To avoid any consequences, she just needs to make sure there are no witnesses. When she finally reaches a safe spot and turns around, she gets an unexpected surprise. A fist comes crashing into her face, catching her completely off guard. The punch sends the angel crashing to the ground, and a strange golden liquid starts bleeding from her, making her even more furious. Furious and determined to crush our boy, she tries to get to him, but to her shock, he vanishes without a trace. Min quietly sneaks up behind her, catching her totally off guard. With one hand gripping her wings, he uses the other to choke her, keeping her pinned. She screams at him to stop, but Min doesn't move. One by one, he tears off her wings, showing her there's no way out. As he finishes ripping them off, he taunts her, asking if it hurts. The angel, clearly confused and angry, asks him if he's lost his mind. Min, smirking, calmly explains that he knew she had a dagger hidden in her wings and was planning to kill him with it. The lady still refuses, saying none of this was her intention, but Min calmly calls her Brielle and tells her that lying won't get her anywhere. Brielle panics, wondering how a simple human could know who she is. Then Min pulls out his weapon and scares the living daylights out of her. Desperate to survive, Brielle tries to bluff by threatening to use her head-exploding power with a flick of her finger, but Min shuts it down right away, saying she's already used her killing move. That sends Brielle into full panic, and she scrambles for excuses, trying to strike a deal. She makes one last threat, saying her friends won't let him walk away alive, but Min sees right through it. He tells her clearly that no one is coming to help, because all her so-called angel friends are selfish narcissists who wouldn't lift a finger, even if she dropped dead right there. She argues that killing her wouldn't help them and says they'd be left without an angel, making it impossible for them to return home. Hearing that, Min tells her the system automatically sends players back once the rewards are announced, and it doesn't need her approval. She keeps trying to bargain with lame excuses, saying she'll give him any info he wants while begging for just one more chance to see another day. But Min isn't convinced and tells her he already knows everything about the game, explaining that angels like her are just chess pieces placed to guide players and serve no other purpose. Min shows no mercy and drives his blade straight through her, taking her down for good. After he finishes the angel, the system notifies him that he's officially the first person ever to eliminate an angel, and rewards him with the title of First Angel Slayer. On top of that, our boy gets the angel blood and the rune of slaughter. Turns out, this isn't his first time pulling this off. And just like before, he's once again the very first to take down an angel. The rune gets engraved into his body, and his new title now doubles his stats whenever he faces an enemy from the Holy Order. Back in his previous regressions, he only learned about these rewards during the 13th round while battling the angels. And because they're meant for just one person, the system made them as unique as possible. Besides the double stat boost from the title, he also gets the runes bonus, which raises his stats by 1% each time he kills an enemy, stacking up to 100%. However, this effect completely resets when the next round begins. Min smirks while holding a golden item, the angel's blood, which turns out to be the only reason he went after the angel, because this item lets a player choose Grim Reaper as their profession. Professions are something every player can access once they reach level 10 or higher, with 30 different kinds available overall, and there are several ways to unlock one. One way to get a profession is by obtaining a specific item, either through a hunt or by meeting certain requirements. But some professions are unique class types, meaning they belong to just one person, and as expected, these are in a completely different league than the rest. Min then checks the reward he got from the world map and decides to take the experience boost for the next round, knowing the most important thing now is to reach level 10 so he can finally choose a profession. He knows this is his last regression, so he has to become the strongest version of himself by using everything he can get his hands on. Then, the round ends, and every living soul returns to their original dimension. People slowly start waking up on Earth as their souls return, confused and wondering what just happened. For most of them, it feels like a strange dream, and when they look around, they see that their bodies had collapsed the moment they were pulled into that other dimension. They glance at the clock and see that the time that flew by in their dream lines up perfectly with real time, which just makes it creepier. Their heads feel heavy, and their limbs ache from soreness. Young Min and his crew look around and see a few folks still lying still, not yet waking up from whatever dream held them. The people start chatting, slowly confirming that it wasn't just a dream and that they'll definitely be pulled back in when the next round starts. They rush to wake their friends who are still passed out, but the second they check, they see the bodies are ice cold and not breathing, confirming those people have actually kicked the bucket. That's when the brutal truth hits everyone. That whole half the people will survive thing wasn't a twisted joke, and those who didn't make it are really gone for good. Panic spreads like wildfire, and even the bully young Min starts trembling, shaken to his core. The sick piece of trash actually feels glad that, rich or poor, everyone now stands on an even playing field in this new world, so he casually tells the panicking guy to chill out and just live a little. He adds that the world has always been unfair anyway, and snaps the freaked-out kid back to reality with his casual vibe check. Baldy tells young Min that even if his life doesn't seem worth much, he still has goals he wants to chase, but the crazy guy ignores him and looks for someone he can't seem to find. He wonders where Min vanished after getting knocked out and quietly chuckles, thinking a weak little wimp like him probably croaked in a ditch somewhere without anyone noticing. Just then, his attention is grabbed by a guy in armor who's just minding his own business, staring into the air. The crackhead quickly realizes he can also access the system to check his own stats, and his goons look shocked when they confirm it for themselves. It takes the gang a second to process that they can open their own status screens and even view the items they get in real life, though no player can ever peek at someone else's. Young Min decides to test it out by casually picking up a rock and crushing it effortlessly with one hand. Watching it crumble into powder from his sheer crushing power, the snake-eyed guy grins like a fool at his newfound strength. The next day, news about the event spreads like wildfire, and it quickly becomes common knowledge that an entire crowd of citizens fell unconscious after a mysterious lady descended from the sky like a UFO, with rumors flying that she can pop heads like balloons or send people straight into a coma. Watching the experts scramble to interpret the situation on his phone, Min figures that full-on chaos will break loose once they learn that half the unconscious players will die from heart attacks soon, including a few famous celebrities. But he knows the real game starts when the police discover that the survivors have turned into players with special powers. Though their low stats won't be much of a problem at first, later they'll become way too powerful for even the military to handle. That's where Min plans to step in and shut them down before they get too drunk on their powers, and end up destroying Earth long before the final round even begins. He's already decided he'll achieve it by dominating with his own overwhelming strength. However, this time he knows he'll have to play it smart and rally the top 4 players to his side if he wants to survive the final round. Though there's something much more important he needs to take care of first. Back at his apartment, Min heads into the kitchen and feels bad that his little brother only ate a single cup of ramen for dinner, like always. Min quietly opens the door and peeks inside, careful not to wake the little guy, and feels relieved that Juan can finally sleep peacefully even without his big brother around. After all, despite his towering height, the walking beanpole is still just a 7th grader living alone with his brother, since their parents died in a car crash. Pressing down on the bandage wrapped around Juan's bruised hand, a wave of regret and pain crashes over Min's heart. Without wasting a second, he flips the lights on and tells his little brother they're leaving right now. Juan groggily asks why he's making him get up so early, but the big brother rips the blanket off and orders him to get his lazy butt up and get changed because they have something important to take care of, which he'll explain on the way out. Little bro grumbles that if it's just another one of Min's random morning walks, he's definitely not interested. But Min suddenly drops his voice into a serious tone and tells him that some serious stuff is about to go down, so now is not the time to be sleeping in. His little brother frowns and asks if something happened during the New Year's celebration Min went to, and Min says he'll explain everything once they're moving. As the brothers head down a quiet alley, Juan wonders what could be making his big brother act so tense and serious out of nowhere. That's when our protagonist tells him to check the news since a lot happened while he was snoring away, and Juan's jaw drops when he sees the cartoon-style headlines about an angel that kidnapped a bunch of young people into another world, with Min finally revealing that he was one of those poor souls and barely made it back alive after clearing the first mission. His little brother instantly starts panicking and demands to know if he's really all right, especially because after their parents' crash, Min is the only family he has left in this world. He remembers how completely broken he felt back then, but somehow his big brother always stood strong and made it feel like their parents were still with them even now. However, there is a limit to how much anyone can take, and even his brother might not be able to handle something as traumatic as suddenly being forced to hunt 100 monsters. Already knowing exactly what his little brother is thinking, Min calmly reassures him that the stat system makes players stronger, so even a guy built like a stick of spaghetti like him will be fine. Seeing that Juan is still not buying it, Min tells him all those worries will disappear when he watches him fight, and that he just needs to follow along and trust him for now. But little bro crosses his arms and stands firm, refusing to move an inch until Min spills whatever he's been keeping from him the whole time. Glancing at the nasty bruise on Juan's hand, Min's face hardens again as he finally names the jerk who has been bullying Juan all this time, causing the poor kid to start sweating bullets. Hearing his bully's name come from Min, Juan feels completely shocked that he already knows about his situation. He turns to his brother and asks if he really knew everything from the beginning. The guilt hits him like a truck because he tries so hard to keep it hidden, not wanting to dump more problems onto Min when he already has enough to deal with. But deep down, Min feels the need to apologize to his little brother since he never truly noticed the pain Juan had been carrying all this time. Back in his first life, Min ended up finding out in the worst way possible. He was lying down for a nap when Juan casually mentioned that he was stepping out for a walk. Sometime later, Min picked up a call in a grumpy mood, not expecting anything serious. But the woman on the other end gave him a brutally cruel wake-up call when she told him she needed him to come to the hospital. It turns out that Juan got beaten so badly by his bully that night that he ended up losing his vision completely. Min felt like a pathetic weakling in that moment, and the weight of his own helplessness slammed into him like a truck. That's why he's dead set on making sure his little bro never has to deal with that again. Meanwhile, in a rundown alley, Taegu kicks a nerd into the wall and tells him he was supposed to bring 20,000 won. He starts yelling, while the nerd just lies there like a dead NPC. The big guy keeps kicking him over and over, and even his own grunts sound shocked at how much punishment he's dealing out. While the guys stand frozen by his ruthless attitude, Fatty whines that he'll never get a bike big enough for his massive dump truck without the nerd's cash. He turns to a goon and asks who else they can squeeze cash from. After a moment, the forehead guy suggests they call the tall, skinny guy with the curly hair. Just thinking about Juan's punchable face makes Taegu grin, and he casually says his New Year plan is to start by beating that kid. While his goons suggest getting money from Juan, Fatty reminds them the kid is basically a homeless bum who never had a penny after every beating. When Fatty mentions that Juan lives with his brother, his eyes lock onto two visitors, and to his delight, it's his favorite punching bag and our big brother. That sight makes the basketball-shaped menace and his goons grin, and he jokes that usually the devil shows up when his name is said, but this time he got a gift. Right after that, Greaselord goes full psycho, curses at Juan, which scares him and makes him shake as he quickly apologizes. But Min doesn't flinch and gives Fatty a cold stare that says his days are officially numbered. Taegu just smirks, thinking Juan only handed him a brand new punching bag, and then asks who he dragged along to save his sorry self. Before Juan can answer, the big brother steps up and introduces himself, making Fatty grin wide as he tells Juan he really messed up and now his brother's about to get stitches for snitching. Then Lardman pauses and sends his boys in first to test how good this guy really is. The first dude almost loses it laughing at how short our hero is, but our boy answers with a solid punch straight to his ugly mug, dropping him to the ground with a loud, satisfying thud. That move stuns budget Justin Bieber so badly that he throws his fist with everything he's got, tearing through the air at full speed, but our hero smoothly sidesteps. He hits the guy so hard that the poor dude flies into a distant pile of boxes, crying out for his mom like a baby. At the same time, Baldy and Tegu's last goon drop to the ground, curled up and shaking from just a single hit each. Watching all this, the fat boy starts trembling and barely holds it together, realizing Juan's brother must have picked up some boxing somewhere. Trying to act unfazed, Fatty scoffs that a noodle-built guy can't throw punches strong enough to hurt him, then approaches with full confidence, walking like a JoJo villain while towering over our hero. He smugly points out that those amateur boxing lessons probably forgot to mention how brutal a height difference can be in a fight. But Min just laughs at the oversized cutting board and asks if this guy even watches the news. Seeing Min smile in that moment ticks Fatty off, and he throws his fist, ready to teach him a painful lesson. But our boy easily dodges the jab, making the oversized bulldog stumble while trying to land a single hit, turning every dodge into a stylish move. Fatty's heart starts pounding like crazy, and he nearly gives himself a heart attack from moving so much, wondering why none of his hits land. Fed up with Big Smoke's tantrum, Min ends the show by knocking Taegu out cold with one brutally satisfying punch, then tells him straight he wouldn't have dared to step up if he actually watched the news. As the big guy struggles to stay conscious, he charges back at Min, only to get his butt handed to him a second time. This time Min pulls a smooth move and vanishes like Naruto, appearing right behind the fat boy to land a clean jab straight into his oversized double chin. Clutching his mouth from the raw sting, the big guy curses at our hero until he nearly loses it when he notices a tooth missing from that punch. This sight fires him up even worse than a fat Fortnite kid losing a match, and he launches a wild, hopeless attempt to take out our boy. As always, Min shows zero mercy and starts pounding that watermelon-sized head with so many punches that Taegu looks like he might fall over any second. His pathetic goons watch from a distance, too scared to breathe properly as they practically wet their pants. Meanwhile, the budget bully gets furious and convinces himself that Juan's brother only keeps winning because he hits first, thinking that if he could land just one greasy punch, the guy built like a toothpick would fly across the room. With that, he tries his best one-punch move and throws everything he has into dropping our hero with one strike. But Min calmly uses his own momentum against him and sends the human football flying straight into the goal. As the big guy crawls across the ground like an oversized caterpillar, our big brother stands over him and casually asks how it feels to finally experience the kind of pain he always loved dishing out, while flashes of regret from watching one get beaten and broken in every past life cross his mind. But Taegu suddenly switches up his act and starts begging for mercy, shaking on the ground like the kids he once bullied. Still, Min calmly steps closer, reaches out to grab his hand, while the big guy shuts his eyes and braces for the worst. After a few tense moments, our hero flashes a wide grin and tells him straight up that the biggest mistake he ever made wasn't being born. It was daring to bully anyone. Right after that, Taegu needs a second to process the loud snap echoing in his ears, then realizes it's the sound of his own hand being twisted into something that looks like broccoli. Min doesn't even slow down as he grabs the other hand too, and the sharp crack of bone grows so brutal that even the gang of goons runs away, terrified of the madness. Being the timid soul he is, one quickly looks away while his brother keeps going, making sure the so-called bully knows exactly what will happen if he ever thinks about messing around again. However, he flashes a wide grin at the begging bully for even thinking he might be gullible, makes it clear he would never trust scum like him, and ensures Taegu will never again lay his filthy hands on another innocent kid by doing things that would definitely never be allowed on YouTube. Later, someone asks his brother how he's suddenly pulling off such insane moves and wonders if he's been secretly training for years without telling anyone. Min then explains that it's already been in the news that a few people have been selected as players who can use abilities from another world while living on Earth. He casually shows Juan one of his daggers, instantly making his brother fanboy over it like it's a legendary counter-strike knife skin. Min also shares that the crazy moves he pulled off during the fight are thanks to his boosted speed, which easily puts him above even world-class athletes, though he quickly stops talking as Juan gets too curious and asks more questions. Min simply shrugs it off, remembering how the last time he shared too much, it ended with Juan getting kidnapped by another player. And even though he made it out unharmed, our big brother has no intention of letting him go through anything painful ever again. Suddenly, he turns his head when an earth-shaking rumble comes from Juan's stomach, and Min quickly offers to take him to the convenience store for a special breakfast to celebrate a pretty fine, non-violent day. Inside the store, Juan asks what might be the most genuinely depressing question ever, looking around and sadly wondering where his brother is even going when the cup of ramen is already right in front. Our big brother tells him to hang on a bit while he goes to withdraw most of his life savings in one go, reassuring Juan not to worry. He just tells his little brother he can grab whatever he wants from the pricey food aisle. Juan pauses for a moment, worrying they could run out of cash before New Year's, but then he quickly grabs a box of chicken nuggets without thinking twice. His face lights up because he's always wanted to try them, and that bright smile makes Min so happy that he promises to take him to a restaurant next time so he can finally try beef. Seeing Juan gush over $5 worth of budget nuggets makes Min think that Juan just needs to hang on a bit longer until he's rolling in big money. After that, Min watches Juan practically explode with happiness as if his life's mission is done, but then he suddenly remembers something important. Big Brother comes back, slams a pen on the table, and shocks Juan by saying he spent almost all his life savings on lottery tickets. Sweat beads run down Juan's face as he nervously asks Min exactly how much he spent, and Min casually says he emptied his whole account, sending Juan into a full panic attack. Min doesn't waste a second and starts scribbling furiously, and Juan, watching, notices something odd and asks why he wrote the same number on all 20 tickets. With a cheeky grin, our hero proudly tells him it's his lucky number. Back in their apartment, Juan sits there dreading each second as he watches the lotto announcers slowly reveal the winning numbers. He starts chewing his nails, thinking about the fancy dinner they could have had instead of blowing all that cash, but his worry fades quickly as the announcers call out the lucky numbers. He stares at the screen, stunned as he realizes they match perfectly with the numbers Min wrote down, and the announcer even says they are the number 1 winner. Feeling like he might be stuck in a crazy dream, he gets teary-eyed and asks his brother to pinch his cheek just to make sure it's real. Big Brother teases him to stop panicking like a baby, flashes a wide grin, and tells him it's all real and they're now rich beyond belief. Min casually tells him to calm down and stop going crazy, or they'll disturb the neighbors, while silently laughing as he remembers screaming like a little girl the first time he guessed the winning numbers. But now, with everything happening and the economy getting wrecked by players, making a fortune feels like a piece of cake. After that, our protagonist strolls into the bank carefree and tells the clerk he's the top winner and wants to claim his prize. The clerk congratulates him while quietly thinking the first-place winner looks suspiciously young, almost like a regular student. He asks Min where he bought his tickets, and when he hears the branch number, the guy panics because he remembers someone saying over 100 winning tickets came from a single store. The clerk instantly realizes this could only mean one person bought them all, and he also remembers being told to call the director immediately if the top winner shows up. So he politely tells Min to wait a moment, and soon the director himself shows up. The old man introduces himself with a smile that seems a little too eager, almost like he's ready to pick Min's pockets, but he still congratulates him and escorts him upstairs to his office. Inside the office, his secretary immediately bows deeply to them, clearly thinking the director brought his own son. However, the director quickly corrects her, saying Min is a very special guest and she should be extra nice to him today. The woman instantly realizes this must be the legend who scored 100 winning tickets and tries her best not to lose it. As she shakily tries to suck up to him, Min waves her off and tells her to stop wasting time and bring him his money. He casually hands over the stack of tickets, and her brain short-circuits when she sees the exact same number printed on every single one. After she finishes checking and confirms they're all authentic, Min gets straight to the point and asks her for the total amount. It turns out that, after losing about a third of his winnings to taxes, he still pockets a massive 15 billion won, so he decides to buy a small studio apartment and start trading in his spare time, especially since he knows Bitcoin is about to shoot straight to the moon. Later back at their apartment, Min surprises his little brother with a place that looks like something out of his dreams, but the little bro immediately asks why he doesn't just buy it outright instead of renting, especially now that he's practically swimming in cash. Min proudly reveals that they are actually broke again because he dumped all their winnings straight into crypto, making Juan's brain feel like it vaporized into dust. Big Brother casually places a hand on his shoulder and reassures him that he knows exactly what he's doing, telling him to calm down because the old man from his dreams also gave him the lucky numbers for the next 4 lotto rounds. Hearing that, Juan starts shaking Min like a soda can and screams at him to never forget the numbers. Not that Min could even if he wanted to after experiencing the same boring nonsense a million times. Putting that aside, Min tells him to hurry up and start packing because they're moving into the new place right away. Meanwhile, we catch a glimpse of a player smashing a concrete wall like the Hulk, while he proudly thinks no one is smarter than him for putting every point into strength. He's a bit different because he has the rune of power that doubles a player's strength and gives him confidence enough to think he could send both Mike Tyson and Jake Paul home crying. Clenching his massive fists, he decides it's finally time to put those big guns to the test once and for all. He shows up at our hero's old place and starts hammering the door, yelling at the top of his lungs for Min to stop hiding like a scared wuss. When he gets no response, he wonders if the guy died in a ditch, and just thinking about the smug, condescending look Min once gave him makes his blood boil. He keeps bashing the door like a lunatic, ready to break it down, but finally stops when it slowly clicks, suggesting Min simply isn't home. The madman then shouts that if he hears even the slightest footstep inside, he'll bust the door down like a full SWAT raid. Right then, an old man appears and asks what he's doing standing outside someone else's home, but the crazy guy gives zero respect and rudely tells the old man to shove off, saying he doesn't own the palace. The old man, unimpressed, easily outsmarts him by saying he is the landlord and politely asks if he's there to meet a friend. After a few seconds of thinking, the madman pretends to be Min's old buddy and asks the landlord if he can open the door because he's worried sick about his dear friend he hasn't seen in forever. However, the old man leaves him standing there dumbfounded, explaining that the student who lived there moved out a few days ago without telling anyone where he went, pissing Yangmin off beyond belief. Meanwhile, back at the new apartment, one is completely awed by all the fancy services their luxury place offers and ends up acting like a total clown who just stumbled out of a backwater village. The moment they step inside their massive new room, he immediately asks his brother how much this giant apartment, clearly too big for just the two of them, actually costs, and Min casually says the rent is a measly 22 million per month. One soul nearly leaves his body as he remembers losing his mind over a measly 5,001 box of chicken nuggets. He quickly advises Min not to splurge like a madman and to find somewhere cheaper. But our big brother points out they seriously need the top-tier security this place offers, especially because players fall into a deep sleep on the first of every month, leaving them helpless against anything from natural disasters to hitmen sent by enemies. Min totally gets from his hard-earned experience that all the power in the other world means jack when you're comatose in real life. After spilling everything, he asks his brother what he thinks of the apartment, and the brother is honestly pretty happy. But his smile fades fast as he apologizes to Min for making him waste time and energy on his sorry self when he already has enough threats to juggle in the other world. Big brother just laughs it off, gives him a solid slap on the back, and asks the cheeky little bugger if he really thinks he will not come back after the next round. Then he tells his little bro to chill for once and enjoy the 5-star restaurant right in their building while he goes off to check his messages. He scoffs at all the angry rants and rage messages from Yangmin, but he ignores the madman without a second thought because no matter how loud he barks, Min is practically untouchable now as Black Scythe. The next day, Min steps out of his room and finds his little brother all packed up and ready to head out somewhere. One cheerfully tells him he's going to pick up some rice cakes he ordered, which completely throws Min off because his little brother never did anything like that in any of the 99 lives he remembers. Curious, he asks what the occasion is, and one explains he wants to be nice to the neighbors since they just moved in. Thinking it is a solid tradition, Min feels proud of the little guy and suggests they go together just to be safe, though one tries to convince him to sit back and relax because he deserves it. At the first neighbor's door, they ring the bell, and one excitedly tells the sweet old lady on the speaker that he's here to drop off some rice cakes. The old woman warmly appreciates the gesture and wishes the brothers a very nice day. After that, they move on to visit the other flats one by one until they finally arrive at the very last one. On the way, Min tells his brother that everyone living in the building has a private penthouse, so they are either ultra-wealthy business owners or celebrities. One rings the last doorbell, but it seems the owner is out, so they turn around to leave when both brothers are stunned to see a gorgeous woman in a gold dress walking right toward them, none other than the famous actress Erin Seo. One finds himself completely enchanted by her radiant beauty, while Min stays unfazed like the Sigma he is. As they try to hand her the cakes, her bodyguard suddenly steps in and starts interrogating the brothers to see if they might be stalkers. Min shuts down the obnoxious attitude with a cold glare and coolly explains he is no simp from the streets, saying he just moved in recently and came over to drop off a housewarming gift. Hearing this, the bodyguard finally relaxes and promptly shuts down their offer, because pretty ladies like Erin aren't allowed to mess up their figure with sweets. After swinging the door open to their apartment, he politely asks the lady to head right in, although she glances back at the brothers as if apologizing for her bodyguard's terrible manners. Min remains unimpressed and tells one he's not a fan of their attitude and suggests he should just ignore them from now on. But one ends up becoming the simp of the year and starts fangirling so hard that Min gets completely confused about what has him so worked up. The tall toothpick grabs his big brother and starts shaking him like crazy, absolutely flabbergasted that he doesn't even know what a legend the celebrity Aaron Seo really is. Meanwhile, Seo keeps reading headline after headline that says over half of the celebrities targeted in the other world have either been offed or killed themselves, which makes her worry deeply about what might happen to her. Right then, she receives a message from a friend who tells her that one of their seniors passed away a while ago and asks if she is going to come to the funeral the next day. With that, she puts her phone down for a second and starts thinking that without her rune, she would have no doubt been just another casualty in the news. The lady then feels bad for ever being arrogant enough to think she was special enough to get mentioned on a headline, since she is just an up-and-coming one-hit wonder whose success and even her studio apartment are all sponsored by her company. Seeing her all stressed out, her bodyguard Xing Chul gently asks what is weighing on her mind, and when she says it's nothing big, he tells her to talk to him about anything at all. She finally admits that she is worried sick about how she is supposed to survive the next round in a world where celebrities are dropping like Tesla stock. So he calmly tells her to relax because he will stay by her side every single step of the way. Xing Chul gently points out that she has been overthinking way too much lately and tells her to trust him a little more. So she gives him a precious smile as she remembers how suspicious she had been of him when the company first assigned him as her caretaker. But he won her trust almost instantly, since he pretty much saved her from getting eliminated in the very first round. Xing Chul reassures her that he will always be there for her, which lights her up inside, so she jokes that the rice cakes their neighbors brought looked mighty scrumptious. But he tells her she is already getting flabby and really cannot afford to put on more weight. Even so, she says it was not very nice to turn them down so rudely, since it is rare these days to see people still following old traditions. But Xing Chul shrugs and tells her that pleasantries are pointless, because everyone nowadays is just nice to get a favor back like parasites. That does not really convince Erin, though, since she keeps remembering how cute and innocent they had looked. She even comments that one of them definitely looked older than 15 and wonders aloud if they might be a player too, thinking it is honestly amazing how kids these days can massacre 100 goblins and then just move on with their lives like nothing ever happened. Xing Chul laughs at her and says that anybody should be able to take out 100 goblins, but Erin insists that no average person could ever be that talented at fighting unless they were a bodyguard like him, and even then he had still been no match for the eerily scary player called Black Scythe. Seeing him go on a murder spree makes her feel genuinely bad for the goblins, and she thinks it is not even far-fetched to believe he might actually be a real-life hitman. With players like him basically guaranteed to survive the next round, Erin cannot help but worry if a weak little girl like her will even manage to make it out of the second one alive. The next day, while Juan cleans up the apartment like the good boy he is, Min finally gets back home and tells him that he did not pull as much money from the fourth round of the lottery compared to the last time. When Juan asks how they reacted about him winning so many times in a row, Min says he gave them the classic excuse that some old man tells him the winning numbers in his dreams. He then asks if Min is still dumping all his savings into Bitcoin, and Min proudly brags that it has more than doubled by now. The little brother warns him not to get greedy and says it is about time they cash out, but Big Brother tells him not to worry his little head because he has got everything under control, and they head over to the dining hall to feast on the 5-star grub like a Mexican man feasts on tacos. A few more days fly by, and it is 5 minutes until the first day of the next month. One holds onto his big brother's hand real tight and tells him that no matter what happens, he has to come back to him. Min reminds him of how badly he had crushed his bully before and pats his little brother on the head, saying there is no need to be so worried. He tells him to just sleep, since they will both wake up again once the sun is shining. With that, he bids his brother farewell, and Black Scythe gets summoned to the other world along with all the other players. Everyone quickly gets confused about where they are since it looks completely different from the first round, and one of them shouts out the moment he spots the top ranker walking straight through the crowd with that overwhelming aura. Black Scythe notices right away that everyone is keeping a bit of distance from him, and just as he starts wondering when the angel will show up, a new one appears who barely looks any different and casually asks if everyone has already arrived. Picking up on the murmurs, she cheerfully explains that the angel from the first round is currently on vacation after her little accident. Flashing a grin nastier than the devil himself, she tells them not to worry because they are all now in her very good hands. With that, the angel spreads her radiant wings and announces the quest for the second round. Quest windows float down in front of every player, each one showing the mission to select a zone representative within the next 3 hours. Everyone stares at the quest window, caught off guard and unsure how to react since many of them expected to be thrown into a fight against monsters. One of the players remarks that the total number of survivors will stay exactly the same after the quest, which spreads a wave of excitement through the group. The majestic angel notices their confused reactions and decides to explain the nature of the current round. She confirms what they're already starting to suspect, that there will not be any battles this time, and instead tells them they'll need to choose a leader from among themselves. The angel tempts them, saying the zone representative will get the power to make anyone obey every command, even if that means ending lives or crawling like worms. She looks genuinely thrilled by that huge power, while the others swap confused looks, not knowing how to feel about her excitement. Bathed in sunlight like an aura, she says that after 3 hours, everyone can vote and just pick a leader. A blue-haired player asks if there's any hidden condition, but the angel quickly eases his worries, confirming nothing else is involved. She assures them that after they vote, they'll all be sent home, calling it a simple and relaxing rest round. The players break into cheers, relieved no one has to die this time, and some laugh about how easy the round seems. But while everyone celebrates, Min stands silent, staring ahead with an unreadable expression and an eerie smile. The angel tells them to decide within the time limit, then vanishes in a burst of radiant light as a glowing timer replaces her. Everyone keeps celebrating, thrilled that all they have to do is pick an option, and they even have a shot at becoming the leader. Meanwhile, Yangmin clenches his teeth in frustration, fired up and ready to start swinging. One of his lackeys tries to calm him, but the thug keeps ranting that he poured all his points into strength and now won't even get a chance to use that power, which only makes him angrier. Min overhears their talk nearby and quickly figures out that Yangmin must have taken the strength rune. He casually remarks to himself that this is playing out just like the canon, and nothing has actually changed yet. On top of that, he hints that while everyone argues over who deserves the vote, there's something much more important that nobody's noticing yet. Our hero thinks that if there are main missions, there must be side missions too, as he walks into the forest. The hidden side quest in the second round turns out to be a class selection mission. Our guy brandishes his knife, aiming to reach level 10 as fast as possible. He spots a hobgoblin in the distance and takes it down quickly. His skill boosts both his experience points and his rewards, reassuring him that hunting was the right call. He notes that if there's one goblin nearby, there are bound to be more hidden, and then he spots several pairs of sinister glowing eyes in the bushes. Min cracks a small grin as he gets ready to face the approaching horde. He cuts through them with ease, and the system promptly notifies him that he leveled up. Opening his abilities window, Min sees he's reached level 9. Though boosting strength is tempting, he chooses to put all his points into agility instead. He tells himself raw power is useless if the enemy lands a fatal blow first. Min figures every skill has value, and since the Grim Reaper class he wants uses both physical and magical attacks, it makes sense to balance all his stats evenly. Suddenly he stiffens, sensing another presence nearby, realizing too late that he'd been so caught up in the fight he didn't notice them before. He raises his sword, pointing it ahead, and warns whoever's hiding to come out now or be ready to suffer, making it clear they'll pay with their lives if they choose wrong. From behind a tree, a stunning girl steps out of the rustling bushes, and Min blinks in surprise when he sees his stalker is none other than the famous Seo Aaron. She apologizes for following him, and before he can react, another person appears behind her. The second figure also apologizes, quickly explaining they never meant any harm and there's no reason for him to stay angry. Min instantly recognizes the non-player character as An Seong Chul, one of Plus Ma's most loyal underlings. Ma is a major player known as Heavenly Demon, and Min plans to recruit him later, though he's also after a priest connected to Ma for something important in the 20th round. Running into him, this early throws Min off, and he can't help but wonder what he's doing with a celebrity like Aaron. After thinking it through, he figures Seong Chul must be the same bodyguard assigned to her, probably under Ma's orders. Min demands to know how long they've been following him, clearly frustrated that the future seems to be shifting in unexpected ways. Aaron admits they've been tailing him since the beginning, and apologizes again if they stepped out of line. When he presses further, she suddenly blurts out that she has a proposal. Since he breezed through the first round, she wants to form a gang with him. Our guy laughs at her request, pointing out that a deal only works when she actually has something worth offering in return. Min replies with an icy tone that he has no use for either of them, feeling perfectly fine handling things on his own, so they should rethink this and return to the clearing. Our protagonist turns and walks further into the forest, repeating with a cold edge that he doesn't need them. Seong Chul mutters about Min's annoyingly smug attitude while Aaron drops to her knees, overwhelmed just by being in his presence. She declares without hesitation that his frontline status is clearly not for show and radiates raw dominance, but Seong Chul stays completely unimpressed. Aaron feels crushed that her charm had no effect, yet Seong Chul scolds her, saying he already warned her that people like him never fit well in a group. He continues tearing into her for wasting valuable time chasing someone so obviously unwilling to join. Aaron never expected to run into monsters in such a peaceful-looking stage, and now decides to hunt them down with her bodyguard by her side. Deep in the forest, a hobgoblin scans the area in panic, completely unaware of Min as he drops in from above with a silent strike like in Assassin's Creed. Aaron still fumes over the idea of teaming up, convinced it would only drag him down, while casually sending the goblin into an eternal nap. The system pops up with an update on his kill count, but the brief piece ends quickly as snarling, hyena-like creatures begin crawling out from the bushes. Min just blinks, can't believe how many there are, and thinks maybe luck finally swung his way. Those gnolls rush at him, ready to rip him apart, but he doesn't even flinch, slicing through them like paper. Monster bodies drop like confetti, and the system chimes, announcing that he just hit the 10th level. Covered in enemy blood, Min locks eyes on the glowing message, grinning because it finally confirms he unlocked the profession he always wanted. System notifications keep popping up, updating him on his new level and fresh skills, while Min stays focused on the quest window. He already recalls the next subquest from his past lives, so when the system tells him to grab the class change item, he stays cool. While most players would feel lost, Min stands confident, fully aware of the hidden conditions needed to claim those rare items. Warriors have to raise their strength to 10 and slay 30 monsters in under 60 minutes, while berserkers must stay in combat for 1 hour with their wounds still open. Assassins, on the other hand, need to land precise backstabs on monsters to earn the item, so each player's path directly shapes the class they unlock. In his earlier lives, Min farmed monsters without a plan, which always locked him into the hunter class. But after he discovered the broken abilities of the Grim Reaper, he never looked back. Min uses the Angel's Blood as his class change item, and the system flashes a warning, reminding him to choose wisely because there's no taking it back. Without a hint of doubt, he makes his choice instantly, triggering a burst of bright light as the system confirms his successful class change. As a reward, he gets the Grim Reaper rune, which grants a stack of insane perks that instantly bind to his body. The system also throws in a bonus Wicked Scythe, plus a 50% discount voucher for any single item in the shop. But that's not all. He also gets bumped up to the apprentice rank, which is the second to last of 6, and unlocks a rank-exclusive skill called Seal of Death, plus the power to wield the Grim Reaper scythe. Min remembers that if someone fails to secure a class, they risk being stuck as a forever newbie. So in his case, charging ahead without delay definitely paid off. For being the first player to unlock a class, Min earns a hefty bag of gold and a rare general skill called Tracking, which lets him follow anyone as long as he knows who they are. He decides to test the skill on the overly edgy bodyguard Yangmin Huang, the one he met earlier. The system beeps as it locks on, lighting up a glowing trail for Min to follow and showing the exact distance between them. He finds it weird that the lady and her manager are less than 200 meters away, and figures they must have tailed him deeper into the forest. Min feels annoyed because this has never happened before and decides to pay them a quick visit. Back in the forest, the odd duo is seen running from something, but Aaron suddenly drops to the ground, completely drained and unable to go any farther. She starts complaining loudly to Seongkal, who tries his best to get her back on her feet before the goons behind them catch up. He offers some encouragement while helping her up, but she keeps whining that her arrow wound still hurts like hell. The bodyguard mentions that their real bodies might stay unharmed as long as they survive in the game. Aaron pulls herself together and agrees to keep running, but then a nasty voice cuts through the air, calling out to them. They both freeze and turn around in panic, seeing the thugs chasing them, led by none other than Yang-min himself. Seongkal silently curses the dramatic actress for wasting time and gets ready to fight, knowing there's no other choice now. Yang-min throws out a taunt, mocking the bodyguard and calling him a doofus boomer for even thinking he can take them all on. Seongkal tries a talk no jutsu, claiming they're completely innocent, but Yang-min casually says they actually haven't done anything wrong, which throws them both off. The thugs then reveal the real reason. They want to get their filthy hands on the beautiful lady. Somehow, the muscle head actually uses a few brain cells and figures out they're after Aaron, not him. The goons start drooling openly while ogling her body, clearly not caring if she's the actress or just someone who looks like her, and Aaron can only stare back in pure horror. Yang-min smugly offers to let the bodyguard walk away unharmed if he just turns and leaves right now. He pauses for a second, thinking that if he had known what they were really after, he could have ditched her at the start, since he's not exactly rushing to die anytime soon. But one thought keeps pestering him. He can't face his boss after abandoning her, and that fear alone pushes him to risk it all. Yang-min keeps up his taunts, ready to fight, but the bodyguard makes one last attempt to reason, claiming what they're doing is illegal. The thugs burst into laughter, and the muscle head asks which laws apply here and who Seongkal is going to report to. Yang-min mocks him further, questioning how he'll prove anything or track him down later. This frustrates Seongkal, but deep down he knows there's some truth to what Yang-min says. Since threats haven't worked, he decides to face them head-on, but just before he can throw a punch, a figure in the distance catches his eye, breaking his focus. Min steps into view, leaning against a tree, farming his aura. His sudden appearance catches everyone off guard. Black Scythe walks toward them slowly, demanding to know what's going on. Yang-min tries to speak up, but Min shuts him down, asking the duo about their situation. Seongkal quickly explains that the thugs are after Aaron and begs for Min's help, promising to repay him later. Min glances at Yang-min, who starts to sweat under the pressure, and asks if what they're saying is true. Yang-min tries to brush him off, telling Min to mind his own business, but our boy isn't having it. He begins to glow with an ominous aura, declaring that the duo are his friends. The thugs stare at the black fire in fear, but Yang-min dares to question him. Min brandishes his scythe, coldly stating he will not abandon them in their time of need. Yang-min feels completely terrified, wondering how our protagonist plans to handle the situation. The duo sighs in relief and thanks Black Scythe, but our boy is far from satisfied. He also wants something for himself, and he's not planning to walk away empty-handed from this deal. He thinks that rescuing Ma's subordinate could earn him some valuable favors, kicking off a strong and prosperous relationship between them. The best part is he never liked those thugs anyway, so taking them down is just an extra bonus, killing two birds with one stone. The goons panic as Min steadily moves toward them, and they warn him to stay back. Min pauses for a moment, smirking at them and asking if they're all bark and no bite. Yang-min quickly realizes he has no chance against Min, remembering how he massacred those goblins and took first place. He knows only a total fool would dare to fight him after seeing what he's capable of. Min taunts them again and demands they be honest with him. Yang-min wonders if Min will let him go, but Min says he'll only consider it if they crawl like dogs and beg for mercy. The musclehead struggles to process what's happening, and it hits him that Min is just mocking them, wanting him to kneel while his friends and Aaron watch. Yang-min feels the urge to back down, even though his reputation is on the line. Suddenly, a not-so-bright idea pops into his head, and he convinces himself his training made him strong enough to crush our boy like a can. A surge of misplaced confidence fills him, and he openly insults Min, warning him to get ready for the beating of his life. Yang Min, now fuming, moves toward Min, telling him to take his sorry self somewhere else because he's about to get cooked. The musclehead steps closer, thinking he can close the gap enough to land a hit on Min's head, believing a well-placed strike will be enough to deal with Black Scythe. Yang Min can almost taste sweet victory, but he's caught off guard when Min suddenly puts his scythe away and asks what he plans to do now. Min teases him, saying the fight would end quickly if he used a weapon, so he decided to make things fair. The musclehead grins in confusion, but his expression changes instantly when Min vanishes from his line of sight. Our protagonist dashes forward at full speed toward Yang Min, who smirks, thinking a bare-handed fight will be in his favor. The musclehead throws a wild haymaker, but to his surprise, Min dodges it effortlessly. Before Yang Min can think of anything else, he suddenly lurches forward in pain as Min drives his knee into his stomach, sending him flying backward. The brain-dead guy groans in agony, struggling to get up, but still manages to spit out a curse at Min. Unimpressed, Black Scythe approaches the thug and punishes his swearing with a brutal, merciless kick to the face. The one-sided beatdown doesn't stop there, as Min lifts the goon by his collar, delivering repeated smacks that echo in the air. Yang Min is left confused, unable to process how Min can hit him so hard, like a jackhammer. It suddenly hits him that Min is not only as strong as him, but might even be stronger. Even though Min doesn't have the strength rune, Yang Min wonders how our boy got so strong as he collapses to the ground, beaten to a pulp. Min stands there staring at his handiwork, but his moment is quickly interrupted by the goons, who are preparing a sneak attack. One of the thugs fires a powerful arrow, causing Erin to scream at the top of her lungs, urging Min to dodge it. Despite his overwhelming power, our protagonist effortlessly evades the arrow, leaving the thug panicking as he quickly loads another one. Min weaves left and right with precision, perfectly dodging each arrow, and he closes the gap between them in no time. Reaching the archer, he faces him directly and compliments his skill, but warns him to pray to whatever deity he worships because his luck ran out the moment he crossed paths with Min. Without hesitation, our boy slashes with his scythe, dismembering the archer with a clean cut that sends a scream of pain into the air. The other thugs panic, but they still make the mistake of challenging him, even after seeing what happened to their comrade. One of them dares to rush at Min with a knife, swearing like a maniac that he'll end his life. However, Min remains calm and collected, unbothered by the thug's words. With a casual motion, he activates his skill seal of death as he swings his giant scythe. A deadly look flashes in his eyes as the blade cuts through the air. The thug barely gets a moment to react before the scythe slices clean through his legs like butter, dropping him to the ground like a domino, while his friend stands frozen in horror. Panic takes over the poor guy as he stares at the severed limbs, but before he can process it, Min lunges at him with his scythe raised high. Since he already has his weapon drawn, our boy calmly asks if he's ready to deal with the consequences of what he started. A swift slash follows, tearing the thug's arm clean off and sending him into a screaming mess of suffering. Min takes a quick look at the result and nods to himself, clearly pleased his strike was strong enough to slice clean through the armor without a hitch. The thugs lie scattered across the ground, while our boy stands over them, thinking this sorry excuse for a fight was nothing short of a walk in the park. Even though his enemies are already down, the storm isn't over yet because Min steps forward, fully intending to scare them so badly they won't even think about looking his way again. After being thoroughly wrecked, the thugs start begging Min to stop, terrified they might actually lose their lives. But Min tells them to toughen up while he wipes off his scythe, making one of them flinch just from his presence alone. With that, our hero decides he's done torturing these clowns and turns his attention toward Yang Min, who tries to sneak off unnoticed. Min quickly snaps his head in his direction and says loud and clear that hiding won't save him because no matter where he runs, he can't outrun his fate. Black Scythe brings his blade down again and slices through the thug's arm, forcing a scream of agony out of him. With a look colder than ice, Min calls him a wuss for not being able to handle pain that means nothing compared to the suffering these douchebags caused in the past. He doesn't give the guy a moment to breathe or even grasp what just happened as he cuts off the remaining limb without a second thought. Those two are just standing there, frozen, and they can't look away from that gruesome scene. Seong-chul is having a hard time believing how brutal Min is for torturing enemies who already gave up. Even though some might call his actions crazy, his calm and focused vibe surprises the bodyguard and makes him think Min is on the same level as his own boss. Seong-chul comes back to reality when Min asks if the two of them are okay. The bodyguard thanks him again for them, and Min tells them not to worry about the thugs anymore. He points out they lack the mental and physical strength to move, so the only thing left for them is to vote when the time comes. They both bow their heads in thanks, but Aaron hesitantly asks what if the thugs bleed out all alone. Min tells her to leave it to fate, thinking she's too soft-hearted for her own good. He's curious why she's worried about their attackers, and wonders if it ties to her desire to keep her nice girl image. Seong-chul interrupts his thoughts, raising his hand to ask something. He questions Min's choice to let the thugs live, repeating the thugs' claim that taking lives shouldn't have any real consequence, which sends a chill down Yang Min's spine. He smiles at the question, pleasantly surprised by Seong-chul's sharp mind, and says that killing them serves no purpose for him. The bodyguard argues they might come after him later, but Min looks at their terrified faces and says they won't cause any more trouble. He explains that finishing them off would actually be a disadvantage, because fewer contestants means fewer spots for players later. Realization hits Seong-chul, who can't believe Min is not just brawn but also sharp-minded. He silently stares at him, impressed by both his strength and intellect. The bodyguard reluctantly agrees with Min to leave the pile of trash alone. Satisfied his work is done, Min turns to leave, but the duke stops him to ask for his account details so they can pay him back for all the help. Our hero casually tells them not to worry as he walks away with a confident stride, leaving the two stunned that he didn't demand anything in return. As Seong-chul thinks he should report the incident to his boss right away, his thoughts are interrupted by Yang Min's painful groans, like he got kicked in the groin with a bat. The bodyguard is tempted to end him right there, but he decides to follow Blackside's advice. He spits on the thug and then escorts Aaron out of the area. Meanwhile, back at the clearing, the crowd erupts as everyone fights to become the zone representative. The shouts quickly turn into insults, with threats of fights breaking out, prompting other onlookers to step in and try to calm things down. A few players try to seize the moment, claiming they would be better leaders who can stay calm under pressure, and one even brags that his dad is a big shot in politics, but the others are skeptical because he has no proof for his bold claim. Amidst the chaos, a charismatic voice calls out to stop the fighting and draws their attention to the timer, urging them not to waste time bickering like kids. Curious, the other players ask the mysterious man with mint-colored hair if he has a quick way to fix the situation. His confident reply leaves everyone on edge as he laughs at how gullible they are. It's clear his powers are working just like last time, thanks to the rune of persuasion. Choco Man flashes back to when he first got his power and immediately assumes he was scammed. He doesn't see any real use for it, then and figures he'll end up as monster food since the skill has no effect on them. Just as that thought settles, a sharp idea hits him when he sees the other players holding the goblins down on the ground. He points at a random NPC and tells everyone with confidence to go rescue the damsel in distress. The group rushes off without a second thought, leaving their kills behind in their hurry to be the hero. As the crowd clears, Choco Man finishes the monsters and secures his 100 kills. A strange smile spreads across his face as he drools at the chance to become zone leader. Back in the present, Choco Man tells everyone to first find 5 or 6 candidates before deciding who to vote for. The brainwashed players nod and accept what sounds like fair terms. So Mint Boy starts picking names and tells the others to nominate anyone they think is trustworthy. A chubby noble player tries to put himself forward, but Choco Man shuts him down and trashes his logic, pointing out that if self-nominations were allowed, everyone would do it. He brushes off the arrogant player without a second thought. Everyone agrees to the terms without question, while Choco Man laughs to himself, knowing how easy it is to fool them. Confusion spreads as no one knows who deserves their vote, but Mint Choco Man expected this and knows they'll pick whoever stands out the most. One player falls for the trap and nominates the blue-haired player, praising how naturally he commands a crowd. Choco Man puts on an innocent act while the NPC supports the nomination, unaware he walked right into Choco Man's plan. He thanks the player with a smug grin, pretending to be grateful for the easy setup, then asks the crowd if anyone has more candidates to offer. One player suggests Black Scythe, which makes sense since he topped the previous round. Two more voices speak up, naming the second and third place winners from that round. With 4 nominees chosen, Choco Man asks one last time if anyone has more names to add, but the crowd stays quiet. He claps his hands to wrap up the selection and invites the nominees to step forward and give their speeches. Feeling overly pleased, he steps up first, certain he has already made a fool of the whole group. Mint Boy starts his speech, but barely gets a word out before someone shouts at him to shut his mouth. He pauses and turns his head, confused as he tries to locate the source of the voice. Jo Young-sik, better known as Life is a Documentary, steps into view and walks toward him with a look that says he's not here to play nice. Joe looks pissed and asks what kind of scheme Choco Boy thinks he's pulling. Mint Boy jumps in to calm things down, but Joe shuts him out and demands to know who put Choco Man in charge, asking why he gets to call the shots. Mint Chocolate gets a panic rush because Joe seems to see right through him, but he tells himself it could just be a lucky guess. Joe keeps pushing and calls out his obvious lies, but Choco Man snaps back, throwing digs at Joe's past and his lousy manners. Still hoping his powers will kick in, Mint Boy tries to calm things down, but he ends up hitting the wrong buttons. Mr. Documentary snaps and threatens to take him out, clearly past the point of holding back. He freezes in shock when he sees his skill does nothing to the brute, but Joe stops caring about him and turns his attention to the crowd. With a hard stare, the gangster threatens the players, shouting they better vote for him or they'll regret it. Mint Boy fires back, calling him an idiot and saying no sane person would follow that guy. He mocks Joe, telling him to run off like a good little boy. For a moment Joe stays silent, then he steps in and slashes a dagger clean across Choco Man's throat. Mint Boy tries to speak, but blood pours so fast he can't form words as he clutches his neck in desperation. Joe mocks him, saying resisting was a stupid move, while the helpless player slowly fades into unconsciousness and drops to the floor. Mr. Documentary turns to the others and says this is what happens to anyone who refuses to listen. Panic spreads through the crowd as everyone stares at Choco Man's lifeless body and starts screaming at Joe, calling him a murderer. It doesn't bother him at all as he lifts his blade and dares anyone brave enough to take him on. One NPC totally ignores the warning and keeps talking, giving Mr. Documentary the excuse he needs. With a wild grin, he charges forward and cuts down a few players who still have the nerve to speak up, painting the area in blood. His face twists into something totally unhinged, fully embracing the thrill of tearing through anyone he wants with nobody around to stop him. To him, this chaos feels like paradise, a place where he can do whatever he wants. With blood dripping from his blade, he raises it again and challenges anyone to defy him. But the crowd stays frozen, too terrified to make a move. The gangster thinks to himself that no sane person would dare challenge him now, and nothing will stop him from claiming the spot as representative. In his mind, once he takes charge, the only thing left is to fold Black Scythe in half like an iPhone 6. He figures once Min is out of the way, no one else can block his rise to the top. Meanwhile, Min is grinding for points, wiping out monsters one after another while squeezing every advantage out of his rune and buffs. A system notification pops up, congratulating him for reaching level 16, but the perfectionist isn't impressed. Progress has started to slow down, and even though he's been tearing through monsters at a rate of 100 an hour, he's only managed to climb 6 levels. At the very least, hunting the smaller critters has become a lot easier. Now he has both the Grim Reaper and the Slaughter rune. Min glances at the clock and sees 3 hours have already passed, so he thinks it's about time to head back. Before he can take a step, a golden light shines above him and teleports all the players back to the starting point. Xingchul and Aaron are left completely shaken by the destruction and chaos left behind by Young-sik Joe. Min tries to make sense of it, thinking Joe, the leader of the Young-sik gang, is a seasoned fighter who's always held second place in the local rankings, even though his personality is total trash. He thinks someone this unstable needs to be dealt with at the right time, while that maniac casually walks up to him. Argai asks what he wants, and Joe suggests that Black Scythe should work under him unless he wants to die. Argai takes that as an insult and fires back, telling Joe to kneel and beg for his life if he wants to survive. Joe doesn't get the hint and keeps bragging about becoming the representative, but Argai quickly shuts him down, pulls out his scythe, and asks if he'll listen better after being sent to the afterlife. Joe stares in shock at the weapon, instantly realizing he picked the wrong guy to mess with. The protagonist makes his stance clear and demands an answer, but the thug stays stubborn, declaring the leader of the young, sick gang kneels before no one and throws down a challenge. Arbai acknowledges the guts, but knows it's time to stop playing around because he doesn't want too many eyes on him right now, especially if he wants to secure votes. He decides it's better to let Joe become the representative so he can pull the strings from behind in the next round. Right then, the angel makes her entrance, and everyone's attention naturally shifts to her. Min whispers to the thug that he just got lucky this time and should watch his back if he doesn't want to die a stupid death. Young-sik breathes a little easier now that the tension eases and slowly realizes how close he came to dying, swearing to himself he'll take revenge once he becomes the representative. The angel looks over the crowd and asks if the humans have picked a representative yet. She seems a little surprised by how chaotic things got, but casually says it makes no difference whether they're dead or alive, calling them nothing more than insects. She then starts the voting process as a translucent screen appears in front of everyone, explaining that to vote they just have to stare at the person they've picked and think about voting for them, warning that anyone who doesn't vote within 5 minutes will be killed on the spot. The players start locking their gaze on someone, and Joe instantly assumes he's the center of attention. But when he notices people aren't actually looking at him, he starts throwing threats, warning everyone they'll die if they don't vote for him. The countdown finally hits 0, and every player casts their vote, officially wrapping up the round. As soon as the angel brings up the tally board, she reveals that Joe, who goes by the ridiculous nickname Life is a Documentary, barely scraped a win in the election, with Black Scythe landing just behind in second place. The thug stands frozen in disbelief as he glares at the crowd, already guessing which players dared to vote for Black Scythe instead of him. The angel doesn't waste time and concludes the process by naming Joe the official representative of the local map, handing over the command right ability that lets him control 10 players. Joe cracks a wicked grin, already imagining he'll get revenge with this new power. But his excitement fizzles when he reads the fine print and finds out the skill only lasts for 10 turns, lets him issue just one command at a time, and is totally useless against anyone who's unlocked a profession. Then the angel drops another bomb by revealing that the map actually had a hidden quest that let players unlock a profession before the voting round even started. Everyone looks confused, and the angel clears it up by saying the side quest would appear once any player reached level 10. The crowd starts whining that they never got a chance to level up because there were barely any monsters around, but the angel just looks disappointed and tells them the forest was crawling with monsters the whole time, then softens the blow by adding that only 8 people in the entire world actually managed to finish the side quest. She mentions that someone from their local map also managed to gain a profession, and then pulls up the side quest results to reveal who it is. Once again, Black Scythe comes out on top, ranking first both in the local map and worldwide, earning the profession of Reaper. Everyone turns to stare at our guy in complete disbelief, while he casually strikes a pose, taking the chance to soak up a bit of aura from their reactions. People start wondering what the Reaper profession could actually mean, and a few assume he probably got that scythe because of it, while Joe just stands there dumbfounded since he had planned to make Black Scythe end his own life using the command right, only to realize now that it won't even work on him. The angel then explains that the ranking is based on how fast players managed to complete the side quest, and seems genuinely impressed that not only did our boy unlock a profession, but he also managed to rank first on the entire world map. She begins to wonder if his name lining up so perfectly with his unique profession is just a coincidence, or if he already knew it was going to matter. Our protagonist replies that it's just a coincidence and flashes a smile, fully aware that the angels don't actually know the conditions required for that profession. The angel finds it amusing and wonders aloud if this is what humans call fate, then points out how crazy it is that he's now immune to the command right, something that clearly surprises the rest of the players. After catching their interest, she explains that anyone who has unlocked a profession can't be commanded by the representative. And just when it seems like she's done, she totally blows up the thug's entire plan like she's been waiting to take a shot at him, pointing out that he can only use the command 10 times in total, which brings a wave of relief across the players, while Joe clenches his teeth in pure frustration. The angel finally turns to our guy and hands over the rewards for completing the side quest and ranking first in the world, giving him a low-tier armor ticket along with a special reward chest. He redeems the armor ticket and gets the option to pick between 3 different kinds of armor. He picks the skilled hunter's leather armor since it offers the perfect balance between defense and agility. As for the special rewards chest, he gets to choose between an experience buff, 3,000 gold, and information about the next round. And knowing that there'll be loads of monsters to slay in the upcoming stage, he confidently goes for the experience buff. With the rewards now distributed, the angel sends everyone back into the real world and casually announces that the next round is going to be a lot more fun. Yangmin wakes up in bed completely shaken, only to realize that his arms and legs are still there. And he lets out a sigh of relief, knowing that the injuries sustained in the game won't carry over to the real world as long as he survives them. He grits his teeth and swears to never go up against Black Scythe again, not even wanting to be in the same space as the terrifying protagonist. Back at the hotel, Songchul praises Aaron for doing well, though she admits she had been more of a burden and sincerely thanks him for protecting her. He stays composed and tells her he was simply doing his job. Aaron then brings up her wish to thank Black Scythe for saving them, but says she has no idea how to go about it. Songchul argues that it would be nearly impossible to track down Black Scythe since he hasn't revealed his identity, and given that he didn't provide his bank account number for compensation, it's clear that he doesn't want to be found. Maybe he knows his identity could be traced through something like that. He goes on, suggesting that giving Black Scythe an item in the next round might be a good way to show gratitude, which Aaron agrees with. Songchul wishes her good night, and the next thing he knows, he's in the elevator, calling Kyungrak Ma. He asks why Ma is still awake, to which Ma responds that he just needed a drink. Songchul congratulates him on getting the Dark Knight profession. Ma then asks about their progress, and Songchul explains that he and Aaron only made it to level 8 because they got injured mid-level. Ma shows interest as Songchul mentions he's planning to report the matter, and asks if Ma has time. Upon hearing that it's about Black Scythe, Ma tells him to head to the hotel to discuss it. Min watches from a distance as Songchul gets into his car and drives off, quickly deducing that he's heading to Ma. A while ago, he had been using his tracker ability to locate Songchul, and the system had shown that he was nearby. But then, when the distance began to increase rapidly, Min realizes that Songchul is on the move. Wondering if he's meeting Ma, Min decides to head out and see for himself. Back at the hotel, Ma marvels at how perfect the Dark Knight profession is for pet projects, but he knows the report should be his first priority. Sitting down, he starts to think about Black Scythe, wondering what the report related to him could possibly be. Assuming the worst, Ma jumps to the conclusion that the protagonist must have assaulted his manager, Songchul, and vows revenge. For him, assaulting his manager is like assaulting him, and he affirms that he will break anyone who dares to get in his way. Just then, manager Songchul knocks on the door, and Ma lets him in. They greet each other, with Songchul saying he's doing well, all thanks to Ma. Ma replies that he's not even on the same map. Songchul flatters him further by saying that having him around is motivation enough, which Ma immediately calls out before telling him to sit. Songchul continues, congratulating him on his survival, which Ma dismisses, and then desperately congratulates him again on getting a profession, calling it just luck. Songchul argues that luck depends on the person, and points out how difficult it is to rank second in the world. He tells Ma that it's an honor to serve him, but Ma directly cuts to the point, calling out Songchul for his flattery and saying that the manager must want something from him. Ma allows him to speak, and Songchul hesitates. He asks Ma how he got his class item, to to which Ma replies that he got it by hunting monsters. In reality, he had received it from the random rune piece granted to all players at the start of round 1 by the first angel. It was then that he discovered he could enter the Dark Knight profession once he reached level 10. Ma knows he got extremely lucky at the start, but despite that, he understands he can't reveal such sensitive information to his manager, since humans can change sides so easily. He quickly changes the subject, asking Songchul who injured him and whether it was Black Scythe who did it. The manager quickly clears things up and tells Ma that he actually owes Black Scythe. Ma's curiosity peaks as Songchul explains the entire situation. He recounts how a group of troublemakers had gone after Aaron, nearly costing both of their lives, and how Black Scythe stepped in to save them. He says that even if Aaron had made it out alive, the mental damage would have been so huge that her career would have ended. Ma realizes he almost lost his most loyal guy and his business, so he goes quiet for a few minutes. He finally asks what happened to the people who hurt them, wondering if they were dead, but Songchul says Black Scythe didn't kill them. Even though Ma protests, the manager explains that Black Scythe said killing them would be pointless and would only hurt everyone's odds of making it to the next round. Songchul starts worrying that those thugs could come back later, but he admits Black Scythe protected both him and Aaron, and in that way even Chief Executive Officer Ma owes him. He decides they should pay the hero, but Songchul says Black Scythe turned down any payment right then and just walked away. Ma quickly sees that Black Scythe is hiding his identity by refusing any payment, showing how careful he is. He tells Songchul to send his regards in the next round and to watch Black Scythe, helping him out whenever he can, because Ma hates owing anyone. Just as he's about to leave, Ma stops, turns around, and asks for the names of the people who attacked them. Outside the hotel, our hero takes a moment to size things up, feeling good that the manager led him to Kyungrak Ma like a little bird. He heads out to stay low, though he finds it weird that Ma is running people's lives out of the same apartment he lives in. Walking toward his car, he tells himself he has the advantage, thanks to his brother handing out rice cakes and the surprise run-in with Aaron and the manager. He thinks he can earn Ma's trust if he plays his cards right, using the fact that he's his manager's neighbor. But he's still not sure if he should bring Ma into round 20. He then thinks about Ma's Dark Knight rune, which he sees as giving an unfair early boost, almost like a glitch. He knows runes usually aren't tied to a profession, but this one is, and it also locks the player into that role. For Ma, that means he has to charge a special energy called Dark Mana to fire an ability called Dark Aura. He realizes getting that Dark Aura isn't normal and oddly fits Ma's twisted habits. That makes him wonder if keeping Ma as a teammate is the right move. Still, he thinks Ma could be useful, so he keeps him in mind as a possible pick. He knows there are other good options, including a girl, and decides it's time to start working on it the next day. The scene moves to a local shop, where the owner sighs, clearly worried about his sales falling. Just then, his daughter Juri shows up and asks why Dad looks down. He explains that Nato is stealing sales from their shop, because the government is unsure about the players and how they'll use their powers. He's worried about money, but Juri says she'll help after she graduates and even thinks about getting a part-time job. Her dad urges her to focus on school, saying she shouldn't worry about money. He points out she has good grades and could get into a good university to become a doctor, but Juri says she gave up that dream long ago because of their situation. Her father, with tears in his eyes, sees that money is the real problem, and he's deeply worried that Juri will have to survive the coming rounds too. Overcome with emotion, he breaks down, can't find words and starts crying. But Juri gently holds his hands and tells him not to feel guilty because everything that happened was unavoidable. She then says she got a profession in the second round. Before her dad can fully get it, she uses an ability that puts a green aura around him, leaving him confused. She explains she became a buffer, and with that she can boost anyone's stats by blessing them. For regular folks, it feels like an energy boost. Her dad starts feeling better, and Juri promises she'll use this ability on him often. He feels a surge of energy and tells her he'll try his best. Just then, Min walks into the shop, leaving the owner shocked. Juri asks if her dad knows the guy, and he whispers that Min is the guy who won first place in the NATO lottery and wrote the same number on every ticket he bought. Min asks if the owner remembers him and says he is the guy who bought NATO tickets worth $100,000 last month. The owner is intrigued and asks why Min is here. Min explains he wants to apologize, saying he saw in the news that NATO pulled their tickets from the store because of his win. He adds that he never meant to cause any trouble. The owner reassures him it's not the customer's fault and says NATO pulling their tickets won't make him go bankrupt. Despite that, Min pulls out an envelope with $10 million and hands it to the shop owner as compensation for any trouble he might have caused. The shop owner is stunned and says Min doesn't need to pay, but Min firmly tells him to take the money because he wants him to before leaving the store. The owner feels overwhelmed and refuses the huge sum. Juri volunteers to run after him and give the envelope back, and her dad agrees. She runs after him, eventually catches up and calls his name. But Min doesn't recognize her. She tells him they're in the same class, and Min says he's not good at remembering faces and doesn't know her. In reality, he knows exactly who Juri is. She's the shop owner's daughter and a buffer. He remembers the first time he met her and how he found out they were classmates, which surprised him. He had purposely made their first meeting during this regression look like a coincidence, so that Juri would join his team without hesitation. Juri asks if they can chat somewhere else, and Min says okay. We cut to a local park where they sit on a bench. Juri hands the envelope back to him. Min sees that it is the same envelope he gave to the shop owner, and Juri says they can't take such a huge sum. Min smiles, realizing they wouldn't have taken it because Juri hates owing anyone, even when she's in a tough spot. Juri pushes him to accept it, but Min declines, saying the cash was an apology and his conscience won't let him take it back. Juri repeats that the sum is so huge it feels awkward to accept, and Min knows that feeling all too well. He replies that the amount isn't big for him, so they don't need to worry. Juri wonders why Min is being so stubborn, and he stands up and starts to walk away. She stops him and proposes, asking if she can give back $9 million and keep $1 million instead. Min challenges her, asking how she can decide that without the shop owner's okay. Juri reveals that the owner is her father. Min pretends to be surprised and calls it a coincidence. Juri also thinks it's odd that the NATO winner turned out to be her classmate and he doesn't recognize her, even though she spotted him the moment he walked into the shop. Min again pretends he can't remember faces and says this is the first time she's talking to him face to face. Juri gets that this means he must have heard her name for the first time that day too. She stands up, walks toward him, and introduces herself again, asking him to remember her face. Min promises he will, and she feels a wave of sadness about having to introduce herself to her classmates even though they're about to graduate. Min comforts her, saying he'll stay in touch after graduation. After that, he asks for her phone number. Juri hesitates at first, but then types it into his phone. Min suggests they should be friends and then starts to walk away. Just then, Juri remembers she didn't return the envelope and calls out to him. Min just waves and walks off. She stands there for a moment, then gets overwhelmed that he asked for her number. Even though he asked as a friend, Juri can't help feeling a flutter because she has a crush on him. She recalls the time she saw him getting bullied, felt responsible, and called the police. She followed him home and saw him working at his part-time job like nothing had happened. That's when she realized how strong he truly was. Since then, her interest in him grew, but she was too shy to talk to him and couldn't bring herself to approach him. Now she feels she shouldn't hesitate any longer. Fate has brought them together, especially after he gave them 10 million won. Determined, she decides to be brave and plans to invite him to lunch. The scene cuts to our hero lying in bed at home when he gets a text from Juri asking if he's free for lunch because she has something to talk about. Min offers to pay, but Juri says it's on her. He smiles, knowing his plan is working perfectly. Juri doesn't want to feel indebted and is more likely to help him when he needs it. He gets up to get ready, thinking to himself that he'll keep Juri alive until the 20th round this time. As he's about to leave, one asks where he's headed. Min replies that he's going to meet a friend. One then asks if the friend is a girl, and Min says yes, telling his brother he'll be eating out, so one should have something without him. This leaves one confused and amused, thinking his brother is in a relationship. The scene cuts to a restaurant where Min and Juri are having steak for lunch. Juri still can't believe she's having a one-on-one lunch with him and hesitates to speak for a while. Finally, she gathers courage and asks how he managed to win an ATO 4 times in a row. Min casually replies that the numbers were shown to him in a dream. She then asks how much he earned from the cards, and Min confidently says he won't have to worry about money for the rest of his life. Juri remembers something and asks Min how his first round went. Min tells her he had a hard time catching all the goblins. She gets curious about his player map location, and he says he doesn't recall the exact number, but the last digit is 5. She laments that her map number ends in 7, so they won't be able to meet in the other world. But Min knows they will meet when the maps merge once fewer players remain. Juri then asks about his level, and Min lies saying he's at level 10. She's ecstatic, revealing that she's level 10 too. When she asks about his profession, he replies that he doesn't have one yet. Juri claims she's been lucky to get the profession of buffer. Min asks if it works like a game character, even though he already knows what it does. Juri explains that her ability is called Bless and it can raise anyone's stats. She then asks if he wants her to use it on him. Min nods, and Juri cranks his stats up by 50% for 3 hours, which totally blows his mind. Min is amazed by the boost and figures out that when she hits max level, her skill will upgrade to double the current buff. He asked her for the buff because he just got a random gold pouch in the last round, and that pouch hands out gold depending on your luck stat. The higher his luck, the more gold he can pull. Min thanks Juri for the boost, and she says she can do it for him whenever he needs. Min then asks what she wants to talk about. Juri says her dad wants to thank them for the cash he gave them and promises to pay it back when he can. Min tells her she doesn't have to return anything, so she offers to make it up with an item she picked up in the last round. She hands him a purple crystal. After they leave the restaurant, they wish each other good luck for the next round. Later, Min heads to the local park and opens his inventory. To his surprise, the crystal Juri gave him is a mana crystal, which turns out to be an A-tier item. That catches him off guard. He thinks the item's description doesn't do it justice, and players won't really get how important it is until they hit level 20. The crystal lets players fuse it with their weapons, giving them different upgrades. There are 7 crystal types in the game: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, navy, and purple. Each crystal does something unique. Red boosts damage, orange raises power. Yellow adds luck, and green speeds you up. Blue sharpens intelligence. Navy cuts down incoming damage. And purple, the rarest, lifts all weapon stats. He feels lucky, then remembers his luck stat got a boost, so he knows he has to act fast if he wants to open the random gold pouch. He grabs a bag of mealworms, planning to crush them to fire his rune of slaughter, which raises his stats by 1% with each kill. He stomps on the worms over and over, watching his stats jump 100%, pushing his luck from 15 up to 45. After that, he opens his inventory, takes out the random gold pouch, and uses it, expecting to get somewhere between 3,000 and 6,000 gold. But he's shocked by what actually comes out. The system chimes as Min opens the gold pouch, and he freezes for a second, totally floored when he sees a massive 10,000 gold prize inside. He feels genuinely stunned, because in none of his past lives has he ever pulled in that much. Thanks to that, his total now climbs to around 16,000 gold, which sounds just enough to snag an epic item. One of the pieces he's been eyeing won't show up for another 2 weeks, so he decides to hold onto the gold for now and wait. Later back at his apartment, Min walks in and sees his brother, Doom, glued to his phone, scrolling TikTok like a pro, when he suddenly gets a notification and jumps straight into grilling him about some supposed date. Min is just as surprised and quickly shuts it down, insisting there's absolutely nothing romantic going on with that girl. Trying to change the subject, he asks if anyone's eaten yet, and his brother lights up, proudly saying he demolished a juicy cup of ramen. Min tries to push his brother to try something new, but his brother stays fiercely loyal to his favorite food, saying it's something he's been craving for a while now. That brings back memories of the broke days they both had to tough out before luck finally threw them a bone. As Min sits there thinking, he realizes it's been a while since he last checked his beckons. Remembering the market could crash any minute, he decides to cash them out and use the cash to finally get a driving permit. Later, Min sits down for his online driving test, letting out a long bored sigh because the whole routine feels painfully familiar after taking it countless times in his past lives. He breezes through the questions without breaking a sweat, wraps everything up in record time, and stands up like he's ready to dip. The supervisor watches him go, probably thinking he's just another newbie quitting halfway, but his face freezes when the system suddenly announces Min's nearly perfect score. Thanks to everything he's already got burned into his brain, Min lands his license in under 4 days without breaking a sweat. That throws our boy into a tiny crisis, because after thinking about all his regressions, he figures he should be some bald old geezer by now. The second he gets his shiny new license, Min doesn't waste a second before locking his sights on his dream car, a limited edition Lambo so wild it could make even Tate die of jealousy. He asks the salesman how long it'll take to get one, and the man says about a month. Without missing a beat, Min places the order, and the salesman, looking like he just won the lottery, immediately showers him with congratulations. 2 weeks pass, and the big moment finally arrives for Min to dump all his bet gain and dodge the crash like a boss. He catches sight of his brother's weird little grin and asks if he somehow just hit the jackpot. Staying cool as ever, Min casually mentions he sold off all his crypto for a mind-blowing 300 billion, nearly making Juan spit his coffee in pure shock. He just stares, totally baffled at how their tiny savings skyrocketed to the moon. But for Min, it's just another regular Tuesday. He still remembers warning his brother not to put all his money in one basket, and honestly can't believe how things turned out. Min says he didn't expect it either, and just ended up hitting a personal record by sheer luck. His sweet little brother asks if he's gonna pull out all his cash, and he finally relaxes a bit when Min just says yeah. That short piece doesn't stick, and Juan almost spills his mug when our guy casually says he's thinking about getting into stocks next. Someone instantly gets worked up again, doubting if his brother even knows the basics of stocks, but Min just tells him to chill and trust the old man and his dream card with full confidence. The gullible younger brother actually buys it and asks if there's a particular stock Min has in mind, calming down as he decides to trust him this once. Our hero totally gets why Juan's freaking out, but he also knows those past lives weren't just for show and feels sure about the company he's about to bet on. That company is Chunma Consulting Stocks, which already handles a massive 900 billion won. Even though it looks like an average company right now, Min knows it's gonna explode once the 4th round kicks in, so he doesn't hesitate to throw everything he's got into it. By making this move, he's aiming to snag a huge chunk of shares to dominate future shareholder meetings, and more importantly, stack a mountain of money and power while he's at it. Our guy casually throws 280 billion straight into those stocks, while his poor brother stands there praying to every god he knows that they don't end up homeless again. With all that sorted, Min can finally shift his focus back to the item he needs from the quest store. Later that night, waiting in bed for midnight, he decides to hop onto the quest store and browse for some items and skills. Even though most of the stuff looks painfully ordinary, there are still ways to unlock real treasures, like keeping an eye on the daily item that shows up in the store. To the average player, the plan might sound dumb, but our guy has lived over 10 years and already memorized exactly what the store sells each day, so he slams the confirm button like it owes him money. Today's item pops up, a skull bone necklace that boosts attack speed but sells for a price way cheaper than its real worth. Min isn't done yet, though, because he pulls out that dusty discount coupon he got earlier and buys the thing at half price without blinking. Our hero checks his remaining balance and instantly straightens up, not expecting to find nearly 14,000 gold still sitting pretty in his account. He flips into full detective mode, thinking hard about whether to buy armor now or save another 6,000 gold to unlock a completely broken skill later. In the end, he decides the skill is the smarter move. Luck backs him up too, since the next round is all about monster farming, so collecting the rest should be easy. Time flies fast, and when March 1st arrives, every player gets dumped back into the alternate world, still clueless about what the divine beings plan to throw at them next. One by one, all the players pop into the dimension and immediately start analyzing the new place they landed in. The area looks like a village, or rather the ruins of one, since there isn't a single living soul around except them. As they walk around, they notice the village is surrounded by walls like a fort, with gates stretching out in all directions. A giant crystal in the center lights up the whole place, leaving the players even more confused about what their mission is this round. Leaning against a wall, Min casually watches everything from a distance, not the least bit surprised that the players are already agitated in this weird new environment. On the other hand, Joe actually seems calm at first, but that peace doesn't last once the players start whispering about him. They swap shady rumors about him being a brutal gang boss and gossip about how he tried to force them to vote for him, even though most of them wanted Black Scythe as their leader, which clearly gets the gangsters' blood boiling. One of the more sensible players tries to calm everyone down by reminding them Joe could just use his power to shut them up. But none of them looks scared since they know he can only use it 10 times. Joe finally snaps and starts throwing insults like confetti, but all it does is add more fuel to the fire as they pile on and start trash-talking his lousy attitude. Joe shouts at the crowd, trying to sniff out the nosy player who started the smack talk, but nobody steps forward, which just makes him even angrier. A sudden thud snaps him out of his rage as one of the players bows his head and greets the gangster like he's meeting a celebrity. Joe stares at him like he's grown a second head and demands to know who the heck he is. Yongmin happily calls Joe by his full government name and says he's here to make proper introductions. The thug immediately grills him about whether he's with a gang, but Yongmin denies it and says he hopes to be part of Joe's crew one day. Spinning the rusty cog in his skull, Joe's brain turns to mush as he struggles to believe the clueless player standing in front of him actually wants to join a gang. Yongmin blurts out that Joe is his crush and says he would love to join his gang. The gangster tries to understand the situation better, but Yongmin suddenly drops to his knees and declares Joe his senpai for life. Joe cracks a twisted smile, not expecting anyone to top his level of crazy, but he finds himself liking how bold Yongmin is. Joe orders the wannabe thug to get up and say exactly what he wants, since no sane person would ever suck up to him after what happened last round. Yongmin pumps his chest proudly and declares that the past means nothing to him and that he truly honors Joe as the king he is. He says he doesn't care what other people yap about, and that becoming the senpai's lackey is his dream in life. Joe easily takes the bait and agrees to make him an aura-farming gangster that would put Pablo Escobar to shame. Relieved, Yongmin nearly breaks his back with another bow and thanks Joe for his overwhelming generosity. The rest of the players are left shocked, seeing Yongmin cozy up to such a brutal person and thinking of him as completely insane while Min watches the situation, satisfied that history is repeating itself again. In a sudden burst of light, the angel appears floating above the players and calls out to address them. The angel acts surprised as she casually mentions the lower number of players compared to the end of the last round, which leaves the players confused as they try to make sense of her words. However, the system notification grabs their attention as they realize many players are missing. The angel then muses that since it's unlikely for them to attack each other this early, it must mean they fought in real life instead. One of the players shouts for everyone to look at the number of winners for this round, causing chaos as the system states that only a quarter of the players will progress, and someone even dares to call it an error. The angel bursts into laughter at the hilarious response and reassures everyone that there is no such mistake made by her. She reminds them of the rule that the number of players will be halved each round, as the players look dumbfounded. Since no one was hurt in the previous round, the angel thinks it only fair that 3/4 of the players will be turned to dust. The crowd tries to protest, but the angel casually cuts them off and tells them to just do their best. The angel then explains that in the third round, monsters will spawn at all 4 gates and will target the large shiny stone in the middle of the village in 5 waves of attack. The angel emphasizes that cooperation is a must as they need to protect the artifact for 3 hours. Otherwise, the consequences will be severe. It doesn't even matter if they miss the stone, because their rank is decided by how many monsters they kill. She keeps saying that even though massive monster hordes will show up, they'll be nerfed so players get a chance, but the loot will be nerfed too. Joe is practically buzzing with excitement because he can smash monsters all he wants, and on top of that, he's got the command role. Almost like reading his mind, the angel claps her hands and tells the zone rep that Joe can use his authority this round. At the same time, she answers all the curious looks by dropping the bomb on what really happens when the zone rep gets wiped out. A creepy smile spreads across her face as she explains that if the leader dies from a monster, the authority vanishes completely. But if a player lands the killing blow, that player becomes the new rep and gets full command powers. Everyone immediately starts eyeing Joe like he's the last cookie in the jar, and the angel casually says the monsters will show up in 10 minutes. Flashing a nasty grin, she suggests the players be good buddies before she disappears into thin air. Understandably, Joe lets out a curse at the sky, but he shuts up the instant he hears the unmistakable sound of blades being drawn around him. The gangster instantly pulls out his own dagger and dares anyone to come at him if they think they can. The players start taunting him and get ready to pounce, blinded by the greedy dream of snatching his power. But Min seems to have other plans as he steps out of the crowd, and not a single player dares to move. Joe demands to know what Black Scythe thinks he's doing, but the guy calmly reassures him that he's just here for a quick chat. Mr. Documentary tries to act unfazed by our hero and asks what he's planning, but Min smoothly cuts him off and casually mentions a trade offer. Seeing that Joe is stuck between a rock and a hard place, Min lazily swings his scythe over his shoulder and offers to protect the gangster. Joe just stares in confusion while Min calmly repeats his offer to protect him from the other players, and the crowd looks shocked at the idea they might have to fight Black Scythe. The other players immediately start whispering about their survival chances, while Joe can't believe that the guy's name carries that much weight and actually thinks about taking the deal. Using his non-existent brain for once, he realizes there must be a catch and decides to confront Min about it. Our protagonist casually says that in exchange, Joe will have to obey every single command without a single complaint. Joe stands there baffled, because even though he's the zone rep, Min is basically asking him to hand over the reins and act like a good little puppy. The gangster questions why such a ridiculous demand, but the guy stays completely silent. Joe tries to dig deeper, but Min refuses to budge an inch and simply tells him to submit already. The gangster's anger boils as he seriously thinks about rejecting the offer, but the fear of getting folded like laundry by the guy's deadly scythe creeps in. Min snaps him out of it and reminds him to decide quickly, because the other players are getting tired of waiting. A single bead of sweat rolls down Joe's face as he finally spits out his answer and rejects the generous offer like a complete idiot. But our hero already knew that Joe's huge ego would never, in a million years, let him accept such a deal. All the others waste no time mocking his terrible decision-making and how he's way too proud to come in second behind anyone. The challengers raise their weapons, eager to teach the gangster a painful lesson, while Min feels pleased that everything stays the same and decides to stir the pot a bit more. Locking eyes with him, Min coolly says that since Joe clearly doesn't want his help, the others are free to do whatever they like with him. Our hero turns around and walks away, coldly declaring that the gangster's survival won't matter, while the other players eagerly close in with weapons drawn, hungry to tear Joe apart. Mr. Documentary grips his dagger tightly and seriously wonders if he made the right call. Before things get truly ugly, Joe is unexpectedly saved by the system, which alerts them that the stampede is about to kick off, sending everyone scrambling to battle positions around the crystal. Joe realizes he can't afford to fight while a bunch of players are thirsty for his blood. And anyway, this wasn't supposed to be a team mission. The gangster spots Min walking toward a secluded area and, curious, follows him, quietly stalking the guy and wondering if he plans to take on the incoming monsters alone. But the silence doesn't last long as loud, bloodthirsty growls suddenly fill the air, sending a wave of dread through the players. The system casually drops the bomb that they'll be facing 10,000 goblins, chilling everyone to the bone. The gangster immediately bolts for high ground, but can't help feeling confused at how Black Scythe stays so ridiculously calm. Taking a closer look, Joe notices that even though the gates have a small opening, a scary number of goblins can still squeeze through together, which would make even an experienced player sweat. Bloodthirsty goblins start pouring through the gates, but our boy stands ready, slicing them like butter and tearing down goblin after goblin without missing a beat. Not giving them a break, Min rushes in, zipping past the goblins and turning them to mincemeat. Joe watches the scene in disbelief, struggling to wrap his head around how overpowered the guy is. The goblins try to surround him for an advantage, but fail miserably because they can't dodge his deadly area attacks, while Joe wonders if this strength can be unlocked after leveling up. Getting frustrated, the gangster decides to stop hiding like a wuss and start killing monsters to level up. Since all the players are busy with the monsters, Joe decides to take advantage of the chaos and farm some free points. The participants are busy protecting the giant artifact, taking down goblins one after another, while Joe sneaks in and joins the fight. The thug spots some goblins, locks in immediately, and starts destroying the weak monsters. Joe smiles with a nasty grin, able to anticipate the incoming monster attacks with his rune, but his confidence is short-lived as an arrow whizzes past his face and nicks his ear. The gangster immediately loses it trying to find the source, but he can't spot any archer goblins. The thug realizes he's being targeted by a player, and his anger spikes sky-high as he relishes the thought of squeezing the life out of that coward. But before Joe can take another step, he feels something stab his side as a player slides a weapon into his gut. The NPC starts to celebrate, but the musclehead pulls the spear out like a Chad, surprising the player, and starts hurling insults. The player panics, but it's too late as Joe returns the favor with his own blade. He starts swinging his tiny sword like crazy, and another arrow whizzes past his face. Joe sees the scared archer, doesn't waste a second, and aims his spear at him. The player tries to fire another shot, but a fast spear to the head stops him dead. Joe clutches his wounded side, angry at his own carelessness and that cursed title. Mr. Documentary is desperate to ditch his title and regrets turning down the deal that Min offered earlier. But he decides a real man like him values his pride more and won't serve anyone like a little dog. He scans the area, desperate to find a way out of the relentless players and hunt safely. A chance shows up when he spots the third strongest player, the Blackbeard dragon, tearing through the goblins. A nasty grin spreads across Joe's face as he walks up to the black dragon, fires his authority powers, and orders the dragon to become Mr. President's personal bodyguard. Meanwhile, Min is racking up experience points as he wipes out the goblins without breaking a sweat. Our hero opens his inventory and is pleasantly surprised to see he already has the amount he wanted. He doesn't stop there and decides to collect another 2,000 gold just for fun. Min has a smart moment when he realizes he can buy 2 skills and get the Rune of Thought sooner than expected. The goblins try to sneak up on Black Scythe while he's distracted, but they can't catch him as he quickly slices them with his scythe. The remaining goblins hesitate after seeing their friends get massacred, but Min isn't done. He taunts the weak monsters and rushes at them. Then a beam of light suddenly lights up the night sky, pulling the players' attention away from their fights. One by one, the goblins start to glow and slowly fade away into thin air. The remaining players start celebrating their win in the first wave, even though they're totally wiped out and can't keep fighting. Min realizes that almost 1,000 players died and rethinks how dangerous weakened goblins really are. He looks through the survivors, spots Joe, and is surprised Joe made it, though he might not be so lucky next round. The gangster is angry that instead of fighting the monsters, the players decided to go after him, and one of them tries to sneak up on him. The NPC lunges forward to attack, but gets knocked down by the brainwashed Black Dragon and young Min. Joe feels relieved he survived, thanks to those 2 pawns protecting his sorry self. Young Min worries about his senior's wound, but Joe is more intrigued that he didn't even need to use his mind control powers on this fool. He groans in pain, clutching his wound tightly to stop the bleeding, and wonders if he'll even survive the next round. He grits his teeth and pushes himself to survive out of spite, just to prove the doubters wrong. A sudden siren alerts everyone that the next round is about to start, and will include hobgoblins too. The second wave of monsters rushes in without warning, while Min stands there farming aura, ready to rack up some free experience points. Our guy unpauses the goblin massacre and keeps swinging his deadly scythe, taking out a bunch of goblins like child's play. Soon after, a system notification tells him he has reached level 20. His rank upgrades to regular, giving him satisfaction now that he has unlocked crafting, which lets him combine skills and fuse his junk into high-quality gear. Also, the system rewards him with a new skill and upgrades his old seal of death, which fits well with his runes. The clueless goblins try to attack him again, but instantly get swallowed by total darkness as Min activates his new skill, Night of Death. Black scythe darts past the blinded goblins easily, sending them into permanent sleep one by one. The darkness melts everything in its path, leaving a mountain of monster bodies, and a system notification pops up announcing the second wave is over. Our hero drops his scythe with a thud and decides it's time to hit the quest shop for a new skill. He scrolls through the store and eventually picks Sixth Sense, which lets him sense anything within 100 feet of him. Min activates the skill and only detects the dead goblins around him, reminding him he still needs to gather another 20,000 gold. The third wave kicks off with Min slaying goblins as usual, while the black dragon keeps running around under Joe's mind control. After the third wave ends, the players face gnolls in the fourth attack. Joe fully uses his mind control powers and shamelessly turns his fellow humans into meat shields to save his own skin. After a long, brutal fight, a system notification dings again to signal the end of the fourth round. Joe barely stays standing, sweat pouring down his face, as he wonders how deep a hole he has dug himself into. The gangster has already burned through all 10 charges of his power and tells himself he's safe for now as long as his brainwashed players stay alive. The system announces the final wave is about to begin, and the players will have to face almost 11,000 big boys, which makes them freeze in pure shock. Fast forward into the madness, the players and monsters are stabbing each other, while Joe desperately tries to grab the walking bags of experience and finally snatch the number 1 spot. His little delusional fantasy ends when he spins his head around and sees 2 of his henchmen get skewered. A few players still hungry for the top spot charge at Joe, hell-bent on taking him out. He panics and shoves 2 brainwashed players in front of him, shouting for them to do their job right and cursing the cowards for attacking him when the round is almost over. A few well-placed arrows take down the zombies, and the players move in with weapons raised, making him panic even more and decide to bail out to survive and fight another day. The players chase after him, refusing to let the thug slip away, while Joe runs as fast as his legs can carry him toward one of the gates. Mr. Documentary spots our hero as he catches his breath after the chaos. The gangster darts over, desperate, and begs to join his crew if it means getting protection. Min stays quiet, and when Joe repeats his plea, Min fires a death stare and refuses instantly. Joe's face goes pale as Min reminds him that saying no once means there's no second chance, then walks away without hesitation. Joe tries to follow, confused, but Min coldly says he has no use for someone who's already burned through all his commands. Joe curses himself for passing up the offer and realizes there's no way out now. The players quickly see he's lost his protection, and Joe flinches in fear. Mr. Documentary watches in dread as the players mock him, saying his life will be a documentary from now on. Thinking hope is gone, Joe braces as they close in to end his misery, but a voice suddenly calls out to him. Youngman shows up, offering support to his seniors. Joe is surprised to see him, lowers his guard for a second, then his junior lands a brutal right uppercut. The blow sends Joe crashing to the ground like a sack of potatoes. Clutching his broken jaw in agony, he watches Youngman grin like a devil and warn him to say his prayers. The gangster tries to hurl an insult, but Youngman silences him with another punch. The junior pins him down and keeps pounding the life out of him, hit after hit. Mr. Documentary stares at his underling in horror, unable to speak through his shattered face as his miserable life flashes before his eyes. Youngman rises with a menacing aura and stomps on Joe, ending his subscription to life for good. He bursts into laughter as the system crowns him the new zone leader, and he immediately starts dreaming about all the fun he'll have with his celebrity crush. Looking down at the failed senior, the thug thanks Joe for giving him new powers and blames him for the disaster, saying none of it would have happened if Joe hadn't been such a coward. After that, the new leader faces the crowd and acts like everything went exactly as he planned, leaving the players completely mind-boggled. Everyone feels disgusted and shocked that a guy would stoop so low, sucking up to the gangster only to betray him at the very end. The players quickly get angry that a backstabber like him will be their new leader and decide to get rid of him right away. Min expects this, so he bolts straight toward our protagonist as Min turns to look at him. Min shouts excitedly that he holds the command now. Min looks completely uninterested, so the thug repeats the same offer he gave Joe and insists he'll do whatever Min wants. Min has a bright idea, thinking Min rejected Joe because he'd already burned through his powers, but he believes that's not the case for him, so there should be no reason to turn him away. Our boy bluntly tells the thug his face is ugly, and says he might spare his annoying butt if he gets down on his knees. The gangster stares in confusion, wondering why he's still being treated like trash, but Min calmly reminds the snake that he's the one who needs him. Our boy orders him to kneel again, which really ticks him off, but a glance at the angry mob ready to tear him apart makes him swallow his pride and drop down instantly. The thug becomes Daddy Blackscythe to show mercy and save a weakling like him, while Min watches barely interested, remembering all the times he humiliated Min before. Still, he admits that even a steaming pile of trash like him might have some use. Blackscythe agrees to take him under his wing, while Min spams the boa moat and thanks his master for showing mercy. Min tells the thug to knock it off and walks toward the crowd, standing right in front of his new lackey. The players immediately start sweating bullets, scared of going toe-to-toe with our hero. One of them suggests rushing him together, but quickly backs off when his friend reminds him about the goblin massacre. The players huddle up and start brainstorming, while Min throws out an idea. They can either be good little boys and scatter, or stay and eat his blade. He advises them to take the first option, since he might forget the difference between humans and monsters if they don't. The threat makes all the players flinch hard, and they retreat one by one, not willing to throw their lives away for nothing. The thug watches in awe at how powerful our hero's presence is, and feels relieved he switched teams, even if their start was rocky. Our boy looks around and realizes the 5th round is about to end peacefully, since all the monsters are almost wiped out. Wanting to spice things up, Min flashes a cheeky grin and calls out to his new underling. Min stands at attention, ready for orders, and Min tells him to follow exactly what he says without a single word of complaint. Our boy casually announces that he's using all 10 of his commands, and orders everyone to smash the large shiny stone. The clueless guy stupidly asks what the artifact even is, then remembers the angel warned them things would get really bad if anything happened to it. But the gangster worries more about why he has to use all 10 of his commands, and demands an explanation. He begs Min to spare at least one, but our boy stands firm on his decision. Min agrees to follow his master's will, while Min adds that he'll choose the names himself. Blackscythe calls out the list of players, and Min does a double take when he spots a pattern. Most of the names belong to his own buddies, making him wonder if this is some kind of sick joke. His so-called friends ask if he really plans to go through with it, but the thug just throws out a fake apology and says it's nothing personal. Min activates his mind control powers and orders the players to attack the artifact. This is when chaos breaks loose, as the system warns all remaining players that their lifeline is now under threat. The zombies start hammering their weapons into the artifact, while the survivors shout and plead for them to stop. They dash toward the crystal, trying hard to pull the victims out of it. When words fail, they resort to violence, but it's already too late because the giant crystal breaks apart. The crowd instantly panics, as the system announces that their punishment for failing to protect the artifact has started. A divine punisher will descend and rain hell down on them, while they scramble around like mice for 30 minutes. Min stands still with an evil grin because the system unlocked a hidden quest and offered a 3,000 gold reward for finishing it. A hidden quest and a side quest pop up, urging the players to survive the deliver of punishment for 30 minutes. After that, they'll get 3,000 gold, which is a better payout than the 2,000 gold they would have earned for protecting the artifact. Everyone celebrates, but Min, knowing better, realizes that destroying the artifact has its own cost. The stats of the players who attack the artifact drop by 50%, making them understandably angry at the map representative. At that moment, the artifact penalizes Yongmin by permanently cutting his stats by 50%, which Min sees as a death sentence. Our protagonist decides to hit the store and buy some basic items with the gold he has left, boosting his stats for the upcoming challenge of taking down the deliverer. First, he crafts a combo by attaching a necklace to a purple crystal, raising all his stats by 1 point. Next, he merges his armor with a navy crystal to cut incoming damage by 1 point, then pairs his scythe with an orange crystal to boost its power by 2 stat points, knowing he'll need every bit of help he can get. Suddenly, a whirring sound fills the air as everyone braces themselves, getting ready to face the deliverer of divine punishment. It's a tough job, as Min already knows from his last run where only 500 players survived. Surviving the deliverer is so hard that it usually needs 5 level 40 players to bring him down. But Min is set on handling the challenge solo, aiming to claim the rewards for himself. As the sky splits open and golden light pours out, Min stays confident. He knows he can win because he holds the title of First Angel Killer, which doubles his stats against any opponent of the Holy Order, including the Divine Punisher standing before them. The deliverer lands on the ground, and people initially underestimate him because of his size, thinking avoiding him will be easy. As the bells on his staff softly chime, the deliverer steps forward, lifts his staff to the sky, and slams it down, instantly creating an expanding force field around him called the restriction field. The dome-like field spreads outward, trapping many players inside, and as soon as they're caught, their stats drop by 50%. The hero estimates that at least 300 players are now trapped, doomed by their fate as the deliverer begins his attack. With a majestic blue aura, millions of light arrows shoot out from the deliverer's staff in all directions, annihilating everything in their path. The players try to flee, but they're unable to dodge the arrows while stuck in the restriction field, just as Min predicted. He spots his opening, dashes behind the deliverer, and waits for the field to dissipate. Once it does, he charges forward without worrying about being heard, knowing the deliverer has no ears. He closes the gap, gets within 16 feet of the level boss, and places a seal of death on him, but it's too late. The deliverer turns around, but Min's scythe pierces his eye, and he quickly retreats to safety. The seal of death shows that the deliverer is now down to 60% health after just 1 strike. As predicted, the deliverer activates his restriction field again to trap Black Scythe, but Min is nowhere near. The field lowers, and Min doesn't waste a second. He charges at the deliverer again, aiming for his other eye. The deliverer growls in agony and activates his field once more, trapping Min inside, but it doesn't faze him. He knows the boss isn't blind and has the accuracy of a stormtrooper. The deliverer tries to kill the hero by launching arrows everywhere, but it quickly becomes futile once Min activates his Night of Death ability, which absorbs all the arrows. Since light can't escape darkness, the arrows are consumed without a trace. Black Scythe then takes a massive leap forward, swinging his scythe with deadly precision to finish the job. With a swift slash of his scythe, Min cuts off one of the deliverer's wings. The deliverer tries to retaliate, but the protagonist dodges and chops off the other wing, dropping the deliverer's health to just 10%. However, instead of finishing the job right away, Min backs off when the deliverer activates his ability, the Last Glorious Storm, which grants temporary invincibility. If Min had gone for the head, the deliverer would have survived and fled, making it a gamble to finish the fight. During his invincibility, the deliverer launches a desperate barrage of attacks, hoping to wipe out Black Scythe. Min, however, watches the spectacle with amusement from a distance. Once the invincibility fades, Min wastes no time. With a single clean swing, he sends the deliverer's head flying, his level spikes, and earns a substantial amount of gold from the achievement, becoming the first player to kill the deliverer of divine punishment. In addition, he unlocks the title, the one who goes against divine punishment, which reduces incoming damage by 80% when facing enemies from the Holy Order. He also gains a condensed ether and the rune of the Glorious Storm. The ether can be used to craft divine-level items, while the rune enhances divine-level skill effects and boosts intelligence depending on the player's rank. When you finish the side quest, each player gets 3,000 gold, so they feel relieved and happy. They whisper to each other, and a sense of unease hangs over the overwhelming strength of Black Scythe. Even the angel looks impressed and is eager to interview him. She asks why he chose to kill the deliverer of divine punishment when all he had to do was survive and get a reward. He says he does not like seeing people die, which surprises everyone because they realize the hero actually has a moral compass. The puzzled angel wonders how humans can switch so easily between killing and protecting each other, while the hero smirks, knowing that self-absorbed angels would not understand compassion. The angel then reminds the players that their lives still depend on their ranks and shows the results. Once again, our hero Black Scythe takes first place on both maps, having killed 3,600 monsters alone and reached level 30, all thanks to an experience buff. He receives a unique reward box and a mid-tier rare ring ticket for taking first place. For the ring ticket, he picks the Ring of Resistance, knowing that even though its description sounds weak, it helps resist status effects that could kill a player. For the unique reward, he chooses gold, because he knows the next round does not be about killing monsters. The angel announces that the top 1,225 players will survive the round, sending the lower-ranking players into a panic as they scramble to negotiate their way out, but to no avail. Anyone ranked below the limit disappears forever, and the remaining players are returned to the real world. The scene shifts to Erin, who wakes up in her room relieved not only that she survived the round, but also that she gained the profession of summoner, letting her summon fairies that cast shields for protection. It was the fairy protection and Seung-chul distraction of the monsters that helped her not only survive, but also rank third on the local map. She receives a purple crystal for her third-place finish and wonders if Black Scythe would appreciate it as a gift. Meanwhile, at Youngman's place, he throws a tantrum, breaking the table lamp and cursing the protagonist for permanently decreasing his stats. He regrets giving orders to his friends to break the artifact when suddenly his phone rings, and when he sees the caller, he realizes he is done for. He picks up the phone and Seung-chul's voice instantly screams at him from the other side, accusing him of using his command right and controlling his own friends. Youngman tries to justify his actions, telling him that Black Scythe would have killed him if he did not comply, but Seung-chul simply retorts that he should have died instead of dragging his friends into death with him. Youngman attempts to negotiate, mentioning how his stats were permanently halved, but Seung-chul shouts back that it does not justify controlling his friends and that the problem would not have happened if he had not gotten greedy and become the representative in the first place. Seung-chul calls him a traitor before Youngman can get another word in, then tells him never to talk to him again and never try to approach him in the other world, or he might kill him. Almost bursting with anger, Youngman still calls himself the victim and tries to phone his other friends to help him kill Seung-chul, but no one answers. In a fit of rage, he throws his phone on the bed, muttering that he does not need his friends because life is a one-man struggle. He clenches his teeth, seething with anger at Seung-chul's death threat, and vows to kill him and everyone else if he ever gets the chance. The scene shifts to the hotel, where manager Seung-chul reports to Ma about the last round. Both of them remark that the round was a little difficult, but Seung-chul points out that the monsters being weakened did make things a bit easier. Ma asks about his level and profession, and Seung-chul replies that he is a level 11 knight, while Erin is at the same level and a summoner by profession. Ma seems surprised, and Seung-chul explains that Erin summoned a fairy which cast shields on them for protection and allowed them to hunt monsters safely. Out of nowhere, Ma advises Seung-chul to get close to Erin and even date her if he wishes, a suggestion that makes him uncomfortable. Ma explains that it will be easier to find out Erin's weaknesses by becoming close to her, and he finds Seung-chul's dumbfounded expression amusing. He adds that Seung-chul can reject the proposal if he wants to. Seung-chul responds by saying the actress would not be interested in him since she never speaks to him casually. Ma then gets to the point and asks what else Seung-chul has to report. The manager apologizes for not being able to extend his thanks to Black Scythe, or offer any help in any way. He explains how the hero defeated the deliverer of divine punishment almost instantly, as if he knew exactly what its weaknesses were, and that Black Scythe does not seem to need any help at all. Ma realizes that he severely underestimated Black Scythe and feels ashamed of having thought himself superior just because of the rune of the Dark Knight. He now has a strong desire to meet the hero in person and excuses the manager for failing to carry out his task. After that, he asks if the manager has tracked down the thugs that assaulted them, to which the manager confirms. He tells Ma that the first person's name is Yangmin Huang, and while there are many people with that name across the country, they are left with 5 suspects if they assume the perpetrator lives in Seoul. The manager further explains that the exact location will be triangulated in about a month, which gives them time until the end of the 4th round. Moving on, Ma asks how much gold Seong Chul has saved, and the manager replies with 10,000. Ma tells him that it is only half the amount they need to buy the skill tracker in the game store. At that moment, the manager remembers something important and informs Ma that they have a stakeholder who bought a major share in their company, Chunma Consulting Group. Upon hearing that the person had bought 31% of the shares, Ma becomes speechless, realizing that this amounts to 280 million. Ma wonders who could own so much money and starts considering the possibilities. He thinks it could either be a secret rich businessman or one of his brothers scheming against him, because logically anyone who buys 1/3 of the shares must have done so to influence the company's decisions. Now worried, Ma asks his manager for the contact information of this investor. Meanwhile, back at the hero's apartment, Min lies in bed, waiting for a call from the company when suddenly someone slams the door open and asks what his brother level is. Apparently, kids have been bragging about their siblings having high levels at school and teasing him because a kid brother has a level of 11 and a profession. Min assures him that his level is higher, but does not reveal his real level to conceal his identity. He tells Won that his level is 12, but decides to keep his profession a secret and shoos him away. Right then, the hero's phone rings and it's Kyungrak Ma, the chief executive officer of the company, on the line. Min decides to stay chill and doesn't show any of his real side. He asks why Ma called, and Ma says he wants to meet the biggest investor in person over a meal. He asks if Friday works, but the hero's got a quest then, so they pick Saturday instead. Just like the hero guessed, Ma's huge investment was meant to wow his dad, and it caught his eye. The hero starts scheming to grab the Rune of Thoughts before his meeting with Ma. He remembers there are lots of ways to get a rune, hitting certain spots in different rounds, finishing quests, or taking down boss monsters. Sometimes even regular monsters can drop them. But finding a rune in the real world is super rare because it needs very specific conditions. He thinks about that as he walks into an empty warehouse, waiting for a guy named Suk Yoon Jang. Jang's nickname is actually his real name, and the hero remembers that clearly. He was the crook who kidnapped the hero's brother in an earlier loop, looking for key info about future events. Jang figured out the hero was a time traveler since he had the Rune of Thoughts, and could read both Min's and his brother's minds. Since then, Min has made it his mission to get revenge on Jang in every loop. Even though the hero says he's not holding a grudge anymore, he still heads to the warehouse, aiming to snag the Rune of Thoughts before Yang does. He puts on a mask to hide his identity. All of a sudden, the door bursts open and Jang walks in, slinging a woman over his shoulder. He doesn't waste a second, throws her to the floor and yanks the tape off her mouth. He tells her not to scream, but the moment her mouth is free, she shouts for help. The thug looks irritated and tells her not to waste time with the usual pleas, asking for mercy, saying she has a kid or bargaining for money. But the woman surprises him by begging for forgiveness, which throws him off for a second. Jang frowns and asks why she's apologizing, and she nervously says she stared at him last night, which made him mad. The thug, being a jerk, scoffs and demands why she did something she now regrets, saying it ruined his mood. He then remembers what happened 2 days ago. He was roaming the streets looking for a target when he saw a woman he thought was hot. He quietly followed her from a distance, waiting for the right moment. When she slipped into an alley alone, he pounced, jumping in front of her and firing an ability that made his body glow like a solar flare, kind of like in Dragon Ball. The intense light temporarily blinded the woman, leaving her vulnerable. He loved the power he had over her, thrilled that he could do whatever he wanted and get away with it. He thought about how boring his life used to be, with nothing interesting to fill his days. But after getting the Rune of Radiance, he could temporarily blind people, giving him control to exploit them however he wanted. In another scene, the thug walks into a coffee shop, and his eyes lock onto the cute barista behind the counter. He orders an iced Americano, and she says it costs 5,000 won. After paying, he casually asks where the regular part-time worker is, saying he's a frequent customer. She says all the part-timers quit because the world is dangerous now, with the constant risk of dying in any game round. Curious, he asks if she's the boss, and she says yes. Then, without missing a beat, he asks her age, saying she looks young. She says she's 32, and he says that's good because she's not a player. But in reality, he knows she's vulnerable because she has no abilities. Then, without hesitation, he asks for her number, bluntly saying he likes her. That catches her off guard, and she stands there awkwardly, not sure how to answer. The thug completely misreads the situation and takes her silence as an insult. He accuses her of thinking he's ugly and uses that as an excuse to demand a refund. He grabs his money back, storms out of the shop, and grinds his teeth in frustration. As he leaves, he mutters that pretty people always judge others, not realizing how perverted his approach was. Determined for revenge, he plans to ambush her later in an alley. In the warehouse, the woman begs for forgiveness, swearing she'll never judge anyone again, but the thug stays unsatisfied. Zhang shoves her back down, grabs her wrists, and says she doesn't sound sincere, so she'll face the consequences. She struggles to break free, but he tells her to stay still while he keeps trying to humiliate her. Suddenly, the hero yells from behind, ordering the thug to stop, and a wave of fear hits Zhang. Thinking it's a detective, Zhang asks who's there, then gets shocked by a tall figure holding a massive scythe, his face hidden behind a white mask. The hero calls him an idiot and tells the woman to run while she can. Zhang tries to threaten her, but the hero is quicker, lunges forward, and slams the scythe handle into the thug's groin, instantly paralyzing him with intense pain. Min tells the woman to get out, and after she leaves, he looks at the thug and says in a cold voice that the real game is just starting. The thug starts swearing at Min and tries to act tough, but the hero just finds it funny. He attacks the masked hero with repeated dagger thrusts, trying to land a hit, but Min easily dodges every attempt without breaking a sweat. Clearly unimpressed, Min mocks him for still holding a goblin's dagger and, without hesitation, slices his hand clean off. The thug flinches and shakes in pain, but Min leans in, casually asks if it hurts, and lets him know this is only the beginning. When the hero quickly deals with his other arm, Zhang finally realizes death is coming for him. Desperate to survive, he tries to use his Radiance ability to blind the masked hero and make a run for it, but to his shock, it does nothing. It turns out Min had already activated his Night of Death ability, snuffing out every trace of light in the area before the thug even realized what was coming. Without wasting a second, he swoops through the darkness and slices both of the thug's ankles with one clean slash, causing another loud cry of pain as the thug curses, collapses, and demands to know why the masked hero is putting him through all this. Min skips a long answer and drives his blade into the side of the thug's thigh, casually tossing back a rhetorical question about why people use pesticides in the first place. Without giving him time to think, Min sinks the blade into his other thigh and calmly explains that pests like him cause problems when left alone, then follows up by hacking at him from both sides in a brutal series of slashes, clearly aiming to break whatever spirit the thug has left. Barely able to speak, the thug questions why he's being treated so cruelly and wonders aloud if the masked protagonist is holding some kind of grudge against him. The pain keeps building until it's too much, and in a desperate move, he tries to end it all by biting off his own tongue. Min catches on quickly and shuts that down right away, letting him know there's no chance he's dying easily, then continues stabbing him with even more force, making it clear the punishment is far from over. Zhang begs the hero to end his life, but Min scoffs at the request and asks if he even understands why he's being tortured. And when Jang admits he doesn't, Min says they've crossed paths before and calls him out by name. That's when Jang assumes the protagonist must be related to the woman, but Min immediately shuts that down without hesitation. Min then explains that Yang once kidnapped his younger brother in exchange for some vital information, though Jang tries to deny any involvement. Before he can finish, the masked protagonist cuts him off and clarifies that the event hasn't happened yet, that it takes place in the future, and Jang would have gotten the Rune of Thoughts if Min hadn't stepped in. Still confused, the thug struggles to process what's happening, but Min keeps going and tells him that the rune can only be activated by hearing an honest voice from another person. So if Jang had gone through with violating the woman, her cries and genuine pleas for mercy would have fulfilled the condition, letting him gain the Rune of Thoughts and commit even more vile acts with its power. Min adds that he confirmed everything across his many regressions and says the thug fully deserves to die after racking up 12 offenses, each worse than the last. Hearing this, the thug begs once more to be killed, but the hero refuses and instead jams the handle of his scythe straight into Jang's mouth to shut him up, then calmly explains that he had been stalling on purpose. He waits for him to die naturally while he rambles on. Now gagged and unable to speak, Jang desperately wishes in his mind for Min to kill him just to end the unbearable pain, and he wonders why the hero is gagging him when the Rune of Thoughts requires genuine honesty from someone to activate. If that's the case, then what's the point of keeping him silent? But Min casually responds, revealing that the rune already activated the moment Jang pleaded for death from the bottom of his heart. It's revealed that the Rune of Thoughts only works within a 30-meter range, allowing the user to hear the target's truest inner voice. Min tells Jang he mainly wanted to test if the rune actually worked, and now that it has, he's satisfied. But when Jang pleads for death again, the hero denies the request once more, saying it's only fair that someone who's hurt so many people should get a taste of real suffering. Eventually, the thug breathes his last, and our hero calmly activates an ability known as Tracer Race, wiping out every shred of forensic evidence from the scene, including the corpse itself. Min takes a moment to admire how thorough the cleanup is, and feels pretty satisfied knowing he's finally secured the Rune of Thoughts. So now he sets his sights on meeting Kyung Grakma the next day. Back at the apartment, our boy gets all suited up while his brother teases him and asks who the lucky girl is. He keeps poking at him, but Min explains he has a serious business meeting to attend. That makes Wan's anxiety spike as he starts worrying what if the business fails and they end up homeless again. Our hero gives his innocent brother a warm smile once he sees the worry. Min flashes a confident grin and promises to spill all the juicy details if things go well. He asks if his brother doubts his skills, which riles Wan up a bit, but Min cools him down and tells him to be a good boy and stay inside. One gets chills as he remembers the messed up players abusing power in real life, and that some thugs even broke out of prison. Our protagonist confirms his suspicion that the system doesn't care whether players are criminals or not. He figures it makes no sense for things to stay normal forever, and recalls how in past lives the players tried to enslave regular humans and take over the world. Black Scythe decides not to let history repeat itself and locks in. Before heading out, Min tells his sweet brother to stay safe, but Wan seems more interested in this shady business deal. Our hero tells him to wait for the right time and scolds him to eat a real meal instead of store-bought junk again. Later, our hero stands before a huge hotel, not surprised that the CEO picked this place. The building belongs to Kyung Grakma, but that remains a well-kept secret only family members would know. Our boy walks up to the front desk, ready to use this hidden info to his advantage, and for that he needs to play dumb and act like a love-struck fool. Right after that, he puts on the whole act of a low IQ rich kid living off daddy's credit card and awkwardly asks about his meeting. The receptionist confirms everything and leads him to the lounge while saying the CEO will join him soon. Min keeps up the clueless act and gazes at the ceiling with his mouth wide open like he's just seen magic. When a voice suddenly speaks up, he stands and is surprised to see Seung Chul show up instead of the actual boss. Both of them freeze for a second, and Seung Chul immediately recognizes the familiar face. Min coolly plays it off and claims he's just the neighbor from their apartment, which makes the bodyguard bow quickly and apologize for being rude earlier, though the man still struggles to believe someone this young holds that kind of money. Feeling like things might get too real now, Min slides back into his dumb act and even calls the bodyguard the CEO to sell it harder. On the other hand, Seung-chul clears up the confusion and explains he's just standing in as the manager for now. He points toward a nearby room and tells our guy to hang out there for a bit. The second he walks off, he starts texting the boss like it's urgent and warns that their new shareholder might be hiding something sketchy. Our bodyguard is starting to worry that Ryu Min is hiding a massive secret, or even worse, that he's just a puppet for someone way more dangerous. Meanwhile, the guy flashes a smug grin because he already knows Ma would try some cheap trick, since there's no way a guy as successful as him would be late to such an important meeting. The door finally swings open, and the real chief executive officer walks in to greet him, with his loyal manager right behind like a shadow. After they finish shaking hands and sit down, Ma makes a subtle power move by keeping his manager in the room, clearly hoping it tips the power balance in his favor. He nods at the staff to start bringing out the food and says he hopes Min likes what they've prepared. The whole table ends up filled with super fancy dishes, and the guy instantly starts munching while still acting like an airhead rich kid. Ma politely smiles at the compliments, but low-key tells his manager that something feels off about this guy. Later, the boss becomes pretty convinced that Min was sent by someone trying to mess with their plans and starts mentally listing possible suspects. He then shoots a side glance at Min and casually asks about his age. When the guy answers with a straight 20, Ma's eyes pop open in disbelief, and he tries to laugh it off with a joke about them being the same age. That's when the guy stops beating around the bush and straight up asks how Min got so filthy rich. Our protagonist stays chill and says he was just an average student not long ago. Ma doesn't catch the hint, so Min casually mentions a recent headline and asks if he remembers that lottery winner, then drops the bomb by reintroducing himself. Ma nearly flips, but stays composed as he pieces things together, and asks how Min turned that 60 billion prize into more. Right then, Min calmly boasts that he dumped it all into bet gains, and Ma admits there's no way he'd ever take a risk that wild. Song-chul throws out a random guess that Min must have some cracked luck stat, but the guy says that's not it either. After that, the bodyguard recalls hearing on the news that Min dreamed up the winning numbers, but the guy shoots that down and finally drops the real tea. Even though it makes him nervous to admit, he reveals he owns a special room that lets him peek at future events, basically making him a walking prophet. Hearing such a bold claim leaves the two men frozen in disbelief, as they seriously wonder if Min is missing a few screws upstairs. The chief executive officer asks if that's really true, and the guy says he has no reason to lie, though Ma stays skeptical and politely asks him to prove it by revealing what's going to happen next. Our guy could easily spill the answer but plays it safe and holds back, then tells them his prophecy power works on its own and doesn't work when he wants. That clicks with Ma, since the ability sounds way too overpowered to be that flexible, but then something clicks in his head and he wonders why Min bought so many shares. That's when Min casually says it's because his business is about to go to the moon real soon. The mention of his company hitting it fires up Ma and breaks his calm for a second, as he thinks this might finally be his chance to make his dad proud. He quickly regains control and scolds himself for slipping, but Min doesn't let up and playfully adds that if they really want to succeed, they'll have to tear the whole company down and rebuild it from scratch. Seong-kal flares up at that insane suggestion and slams his hand on the table, but Ma manages to keep him in check. Our guy stays firm on his stance and fires back that revealing his rune powers is a huge risk that could backfire, but he did it because he holds the most shares and actually wants to see the company reach greater heights. He turns the tables by asking why anyone sane would dump $280 billion into a random business and reminds them that without him, they're going down. Neither of the two men buys into his wild claim, but Min boldly asks Seong-kal if he really thinks it's a coincidence they're apartment neighbors. Ma's curiosity kicks in and he asks what they're talking about, so the bodyguard explains that the brothers moved into the same building 2 months ago, and Min adds that he did it right after getting the foresight rune. That piece of info ticks the chief executive officer off, and he demands to know why it's only coming up now. But Seong Kal quickly says it's news to him too. After thinking it through, Ma realizes that the investments and apartment move only make sense if Min really knows what's coming, though it's hard to believe he also knows about his connection to the actress. But even with all that, it's still not enough to sway a sharp mind like Ma's. So Min starts rambling about his family background and how this hotel is part of his plan to finally earn his dad's approval. That's when the bodyguard jumps to his feet in frustration and yells, demanding to know who sent him. But the boss stays cool and tells him to shut up. That instantly shuts Seong Kal up, and he takes a breath before telling Min that even if all his info checks out, it still doesn't prove anything since those facts are common knowledge in their family. With that, he also starts to suspect that Min might just be a puppet, but plays along and says that even if he did agree to flip his whole industry, pulling it off would be next to impossible. Sure, like any regular person, he would love to see his company thrive, but the guy's offer just feels way too good to be real. So he politely thanks the guy for his generous investment, but suggests they take this topic up again during the upcoming shareholder meeting. Ma stands up and tries to wrap things up, but the guy tells him to slow down and really think about whether what he's about to do is the right move. Taking a gamble, he chooses to spill a bit of info on the next round. Ma immediately perks up and sinks back into his seat, fired up by what he just heard. Min flashes a grin and asks if that piece of knowledge is enough to convince them that his magic powers are the real deal. After the meeting wraps up, Zhang apologizes for losing his cool earlier, but Ma waves it off like it's nothing serious. The bodyguard asks for permission to speak openly and admits that something about Min still feels off since there's no solid reason for him to be helping them out. Ma figures he might be doing it just because he wants even more money. Zhang shakes his head, still not buying that it's just about greed, and says placing trust in him is way too risky. Even so, Ma doesn't want to miss out if Min is actually truthful and thinks it might be smarter to have him as an ally, since keeping someone like that close might just be their ticket to surviving the quests. He tells his still worried right-hand man that they'll just have to wait and find out. Later, Min walks off thinking there's no way they won't believe him once they witness the fourth round, even though he didn't share any exciting details and only mentioned that the round will pit players against each other. He's fully confident that when it's over, they'll treat him like a saint and wouldn't even think about making an enemy out of a prophet. Now that that's sorted, he decides to make the most of his fresh look and go meet that special someone. At the same time, a girl hurries to the crosswalk, getting impatient while she waits for the light, and then she spots a flashy sports car parked right in front of the store. Jury pauses her insult when the window rolls down and she sees that the driver is none other than Min. When the light turns green, she rushes over and asks if that car really belongs to him. After their completely unplanned meeting, he offers to give her a ride, and she eagerly agrees without a second thought. He tells her it's his first time behind the wheel and he's just testing it out. Curious, Jury asks how much it costs, and he casually says it's about $900 million, like it's pocket change. Her eyes widen in disbelief, because with that amount of money, she could have opened more than a few shops. He reminds her that he won the lottery, so the price didn't make much of a dent, and that hits Jury hard as the gap between their lives becomes painfully clear. She gets flustered because the whole thing feels way too much like a date, and when Min says he has something to confess, her heart practically jumps out of her chest. Luckily, he quickly adds that it's not that kind of confession, or else Jury might have thrown herself out the window. After she calms down, Jury asks what he means, and he admits that he didn't actually see the lottery numbers in a dream and lied to her about it. He reveals that he got them through his foresight rune, which is also why he earned the fake title of the prophet. Jury is thrilled for him and congratulates him on acquiring such an insane skill. She's touched that he trusts her enough to tell the truth, but he reminds her that she already told him about her own powers. Jury lights up and starts talking excitedly about her rune, explaining how her defense rises with the number of nearby players. She feels lighter now that she's finally told someone, but wonders why he brought this up all of a sudden. He tells her it's been eating at him for a while, and he wasn't sure anyone would take him seriously. After he fills her in on what's coming in the fourth round, Jury gasps in shock, struggling to process the terrifying news. In a dead serious tone, he warns her not to trust anyone once the round begins. Jury is touched that her handsome classmate cares this much, and she feels special being the first girl he's shared this secret with. As she sneaks a glance at him, her mind starts racing, and she wonders if he might actually have feelings for her too. Back at his apartment, Min scrolls through his phone and is stunned to learn that Jury has a crush on him. He figures he can use this new knowledge to his advantage, since it'll now be easier to recruit her to his side. With everything finally in order, Min calls it a day, satisfied that all of this month's problems are off his chest. Before he knows it, March 31st arrives, and he quickly thinks ahead and makes sure to visit the store before the next transfer. He grabs a pair of dark shadow gloves that give a useful invisibility perk and also go well with his other skills. A knock on the door pulls his attention as his brother shows up to remind him it's almost time for the quest. He feels worried for his brother, but Min tells him to wait and see. He brings up Min's prophecy powers and insists that he come back alive. Min jokingly tells his brother to mind his words as he falls asleep. All players get transported into the alternate world, and Yangmin clutches his head in frustration. He opens his quest window and sees the penalty still active. He curses himself for betraying Joe and wonders how he'll manage in the fourth round when greedy players might target him again. He scans the area with unease and starts questioning what kind of strange place this is, since it feels like being a lab rat. In the crowd, he catches sight of Black Scythe and instantly curses him for his current situation, feeling sure the guy saw this coming. He finds it weird how easily he killed the divine being and stays angry for being too weak to smash Min's face in. Still, what matters more right now is figuring out how he'll survive, so he calls out to our protagonist for help. The thug checks with him to see if their deal is still good, asking if he still gets protection, but Min casually brushes him off and says he doesn't need a henchman like that anymore. Black Scythe fires back that he doesn't have command rights anymore, and besides, everyone has a class now anyway. Youngmin begins sweating as our hero tells him he's just a ticking time bomb and not useful anymore. Youngmin keeps turning his head in fear, while our hero tells him to relax. The thug looks confused, but our boy reminds him that the role is that special anymore. These days, almost everyone has a profession, and there's no bonus for targeting the representative. It finally clicks for the gangster, and Min's words start to make sense, but his train of thought gets cut off as his face turns red when he spots a certain duo walking toward them. Aaron walks up to Min and greets him while the bodyguard checks if he remembers them, prompting Min to ask what they're doing here. Songchul thanks him again for saving them from the brute, but Youngmin takes offense and steps up, ready to throw hands. Min holds him back with a hand and tells the pair that helping once was enough. The bodyguard tries again, offering a reward and wanting to introduce his CEO, but Black Scythe waves it off without interest. Left with no better option, Aaron quickly presents a purple crystal and pleads with him to accept it. Min eyes the high-quality crystal with surprise, and the actress explains that giving this to him feels better than offering another round of apologies. He accepts her thoughtful gift and decides he'll craft something useful with it once he's back. Aaron looks at him all nervous, not sure if he likes it, while Min just reads her mind, knowing she has no idea how precious that crystal actually is. Then our guy picks up Youngmin's thoughts too, sees that the dude also has a magic crystal, and is blown away that he already found a reinforced black crystal so early. That crystal is insanely rare, and the gangster just bragged that he owns one. Aaron tries to follow up and offers to protect our guy, talking excitedly about her class and how she can summon fairies, but Min politely declines because he doesn't need any help. Even though that makes Aaron a bit sad, both sides say goodbye, but our hero stops the gangster just as he tries to walk away. He convinces Youngmin to rethink his choice, pointing out that even if his role is useless now, he could still become a target. He tells the thug that even though most people have a class, the power only works on a few select players. Youngmin doesn't sound convinced, but our hero just asks if there's really anyone who would come after him right now. The scumbag bites the bait and gets nervous, but Min assures him he'll help, which makes him feel a bit better, though the favor won't be free. Our guy then tells him to hand over whatever stones he has, and the thug gladly complies. He tries to push for more, but the gangster only has his dignity left, which Min kindly spares as he agrees to protect him from now on. A golden light streaks across the sky as the angel returns, and casually notes that the player count has dropped again. The crowd starts wondering if fights are breaking out in real life too, though Min thinks it would be weird if they weren't. The angel then reveals the quest for the 4th round. The players will have to kill each other over the next 3 hours. The golden woman lets out a loud, ugly cackle and tells everyone to follow the simple instructions and start stabbing each other. Everyone looks horrified by her words, but she stands firm, explaining that the goal is to lower the player count themselves since there are no monsters this time. All the players are thrown off, and one of them finally dares to ask if they only need to eliminate one person each. She casually tells them it will be more fun if they figure it out on their own, but Min already knows the real reason. She has been told to keep quiet because the angels only act as guides, and the real decision-maker is the host. Still, she gives them a small tip, saying that simply eliminating another player doesn't guarantee staying on top, and that the ranking system will stay hidden. The woman also mentions that the rules aren't tied to time limits, and with that, she wishes them good luck with their little round of stabbing. As the timer appears above them, all the players start to panic, wondering if it's time to start whacking each other. The gangster immediately starts drooling over who to eliminate first, which is exactly the reaction Min expected from him. This whole situation works out great for young Min since all the players seem too scared to fight, and he quickly decides it is the perfect time to get revenge on the people he once called friends. Black Scythe suddenly steps out of the shadows behind him, scaring the daylight out of him. He nervously asks if our hero needs something, and Min remembers the promise he made, pulls out his scythe, and unexpectedly swings it straight at him. Young Min's head separates cleanly from his body as the system congratulates our hero for completing the side quest and rewards him with something special. One of the players lets out a scream while another immediately snitches on Black Scythe, even though they were all ready to eliminate each other just moments ago. Not long after, the rest of the players pile on and start yelling at Min, calling him inhumane and labeling him a murderer. Min doesn't bother calling them out since he really has eliminated a good number of people, never without a solid reason, and besides, this whole round is literally about killing. Even so, all the players act like they are morally above it, but deep down, most of them just want to strip Black Scythe of his power. Their fake outrage makes our hero crack a grin, which only makes them more furious as they start thinking he might actually be insane. Right then, the system cuts through their complaining and announces Min as the new zone representative, causing the players to fall quiet. Black Scythe wastes no time and mocks their sudden silence, asking if they have turned into chickens while calling out the scared ones who still do not have any classes. One of the players quickly spots something and points out that Min's name has turned a different color. All of them begin whispering about the new red color, while our hero remembers from his past lives that eliminating a player causes the shift, and it continues to change depending on how many kills stack up. Because the color stands out so much, other players will try to take down the killer, but end up becoming killers themselves. The cycle keeps going until the whole battlefield turns into a bloodbath. Their hesitation now is exactly what will lead to even more deaths later on. Min teases them to quit wasting time, but the players clearly are not having any of it. Our boy then calls them out for being hypocrites since they were already planning to go after the leader in the last round, and he reminds them that they can either throw hands or get folded. He questions the crowd on what they will do when the time comes to eliminate someone just to survive, and tells them to make up their minds quickly and start moving. Our hero suggests they go ahead and hold another discussion like before as he walks away, thinking to himself that people will end up fighting anyway, though by then it will already be too late. He worries that they will keep whining and wasting time, which would mean fewer players will manage to finish the quest, leading to even more eliminations. One girl decides to bring the matter up for debate, but another player gets rude with her, and that only ends with her getting pissed off. One non-player character proposes they organize competitions between the players, but another quickly shoots it down, saying there is not enough time to make that work. As the crowd gets more riled up, Aaron grows worried about what they should do next, and starts wondering whether they should go along with Black Scythe's plan. Sung Chul agrees completely with our hero, and advises the actress that her own life matters far more than a stranger's. With that in mind, he tells Aaron to brace herself for the worst, which makes her suspect that the bodyguard might have gone through something like this before. Sung Chul instantly changes the topic, and the actress asks him who they should target, though in the end, the two of them decide to wait it out until the very end. The tension in the crowd keeps building as nobody can agree on who to eliminate, and some players begin to seriously consider rushing Black Scythe. The other players try to talk some sense into each other, not realizing that our hero can hear them anyway, and they quickly look away when our boy turns to glance in their direction. The arguments keep piling up, while the frustration keeps rising among the crew. A few players are saying they have to kill to stay alive, but others think only the murderers should be the ones we go after. A cheeky NPC snarks at a player's suggestion, and that lights a heated showdown. The two start yelling at each other, then another NPC jumps in just to tease them, telling them to stop flirting and actually start fighting. That backfires quickly, because the arguing duo turns on the instigator, and all three of them suddenly draw their weapons. Min just shakes his head in disappointment, thinking everyone here is all bark and no bite. In the middle of the chaos, a player finally spots something odd when Yongmin suddenly sits up, looking oddly unfazed by the whole missing head mess. Everyone stops arguing and stares at the gangster like he just rose from the dead, but Black Scythe already knows the system revives the dead after 10 minutes. Yongmin looks around confused, wondering why everyone is staring at him like he's a lab experiment and how he even ended up there. That revelation throws the crowd into even more chaos as they realize the system actually brings players back after death. Now that the truth is out, the players start grabbing their weapons and slowly get into the idea of killing each other. One sensible player tries to calm everyone down, explaining that nobody really knows how this revival system works yet, but it's already too late. Another player silently walks up behind her and strikes her down without hesitation, shouting for her to die as he drives his claws into her from behind, then demanding that she revive. The crowd watches in stunned silence, horrified by what they just saw. Anxiety spreads when the woman doesn't revive right away, but someone in the crowd remembers how Yongmin revived after 10 minutes, so they decide to wait and see what happens next. After 10 minutes, the woman's injuries start to heal, and she wakes up like she just took a nap. But as soon as she realizes what happened, she screams, demanding to know who attacked her. The killer tries to strike again from behind, but before he can land the blow, someone twice his size swings a battle axe, taking him down with a powerful hit and celebrating that revival is possible. The crowd falls into an uneasy silence, not sure what to make of the situation. Black Scythe gets that even though revival is possible, most people still see murder as unforgivable, but he also expects some psychopaths will show their true colors in this chaos. Chaos erupts when some players start attacking others, and what began as small skirmishes quickly turns into a full-blown battlefield. 1,000 players start unleashing havoc on each other. Black Scythe decides to jump into the war zone, starting by sweeping through 3 unsuspecting players before they even realize what's happening. Some players, seeing him move, try to take him on all at once, but they get dispatched quickly with a single strike. The protagonist glances over his shoulder and spots Blackbeard Dragon, the player who placed 3rd in the previous rounds, enjoying the carnage. He mentions that the rune of absorption is giving him an edge this round. Black Scythe looks at his name, now dark red, and guesses he's already taken down at least 10 players. Deciding to have a little more fun, he plans to take down Blackbeard Dragon a few times. Blackbeard Dragon pulls up his stats screen, eagerly watching his gauge rise for the rune of absorption. With each kill, the gauge fills, and he feels the excitement building, knowing that once it's full he'll earn a stat point. He takes down another player, and the gauge bars jump up sharply, making him wonder if the player he just killed was on his level. His greed kicks in, and he daydreams about killing Black Scythe to fill his gauge instantly and lock in that stat upgrade. But as soon as the thought pops up, he knows he can't match the hero, so he decides it's smarter to stick to killing weaker opponents. With sadistic glee, Blackbeard Dragon keeps killing a few more players, savoring the fear in their eyes. He remembers that in the previous round, he couldn't hunt because the gang leader used his command right to make him a personal bodyguard. This round feels like it was made just for him because he can level up by killing others while most players are stuck in the same spot, unable to level up like he can. He's thrilled to see his victims revive just to be killed again, and he wonders if he should expand his hunting grounds to cover more area. Just then, he finds himself face to face with Black Scythe, who instantly activates his Night of Death ability. The scene goes dark, catching everyone off guard, and Blackbeard Dragon notices the hero's scythe has turned semi-transparent. Knowing he needs to be careful, he braces himself, but before his body can process the shift, everything flips upside down, and he's dead before he can even react. The scene shifts to Yangmin, who watches the slaughter, the killing, and reviving, and realizes exactly what this round is about. With a determined look, he plans to get revenge on the friends who abandoned him. His eyes scan the battlefield, searching for Xinghuan, and after a brief moment he spots him, aiming at other players. Without hesitation, Yang Min charges at him and greets him with a punch to the face that sends Xinghuan flying across the battlefield. Yang Min steps forward, his eyes cold, and grabs Xinghuan by the collar, daring him to kill him if he's that bold. Then, without waiting for a reply, he starts pounding Xinghuan with a brutal barrage of punches, each landing harder than the last, until he finally ends the fight, leaving Xinghuan motionless on the ground. After brutally killing his friend with his bare hands, Yang Min stands over the lifeless body. He scans the battlefield, looking for his other two friends. They're out there somewhere, and he won't stop until they face the consequences of abandoning him. Aaron is lost in deep thought, thinking that if hell were real, it would look exactly like the battlefield around her, a place where all anyone wants is to kill and destroy. Xingchul notices her distress and calls her name, asking if she's okay. She replies by sharing the mental turmoil she's feeling. Xingchul realizes that if Aaron loses her grip on sanity, it could hurt her career, and he would fail in his duty to Chief Executive Officer Ma to keep her safe. Right then, some player sneaks up behind Aaron, grabs her hair, and pulls out a dagger to finish her off. Xingchul reacts instantly, blocks the dagger with his sword and sends it flying. He then changes his grip and drives the sword into the attacker's shoulder, making him give up. Xingchul tells Aaron to finish it, and even though she trembles and sobs for a second, she snaps back and kills the player. After that, she looks clearly shaken while Xingchul stays calm, just glad she followed his orders. Aaron, still shaking, asks how much longer the round lasts, and Xingchul says they have 1 hour left. She says she's confused and upset about why everyone wants to kill each other, and Xingchul feels sorry for her soft heart. He asks if she's killed at least 50 people, and when she says yes, he feels relieved, knowing she'll be logged in the score system. He tells her to let him handle the rest. Aaron thanks him, but in his mind, Xingchul thanks her for giving him time to set a record. Time passes, and the screen shows only 10 minutes left until the round ends. Black Scythe is mowing down players left and right, determined to rank first on the world map again so he can reach the 20th round. His goal is to get as strong as possible before facing the final boss, not sure what kind of power they have. He chases a group of players, and just as one thinks it's over, the hero jumps right over him. Black Scythe knows killing the same player twice doesn't give extra points, so he sees no reason to keep chasing the same person. He spots Yangmin, who doesn't know this hidden rule, repeatedly killing his 3 friends, only lowering both their chances to survive and his own. With just 1 minute left, the hero desperately looks for players he hasn't killed yet, but it's getting hard. He finally sees 2 unknown players and tries to take them both down, but time runs out. A force field surrounds all the players, and an angel shows up, announcing the round is over, looking pretty amused. She jokes that the players must have loved killing each other, turning the white floor all dirty with blood. The angel says she'll revive the dead now that the round is over, but the hero knows that's a lie because the system revives players automatically. The dead players rise inside force fields, but Yangmin's friends look angry and start yelling at him for the brutal beatdown. The angel hears the noise and warns them to stay quiet, or she'll make their heads explode. They quickly fall silent as she starts showing the results. The angel starts by revealing a side quest catching the players off guard. The quest was to kill the map's representative before the timer ran out. She tells them only one player completed the quest, and that player was Black Scythe. The other players murmur, and Blackbeard Dragon grits his teeth, realizing he missed the chance. Youngmin, trying to remember what happened, checks his stats for the command ability, but it's not there. He feels betrayed by the hero, who promised to help him stay alive. After announcing the side quest, the angel reveals another key detail. Killing the most varied people earned more points, so repeatedly killing the same folks was pointless. The rankings show up, and Black Scythe tops both the world map and the local map again, with 722 kills, making the angel happy. The players are stunned by the huge number of people Black Scythe killed, almost like a massacre. The angel gives him his rewards, a mid-tier rare armor ticket and a unique reward box. For the armor, he picks the blood-stained assassin suit, and for the unique reward, he chooses a 50% stat boost for the next round. The angel then says anyone ranked below 521 will disappear, making the players beg for mercy, but it's useless. Youngmin manages to survive the round, and Eren looks deeply upset about so many people disappearing. The hero closes his eyes for a moment of silence before being sent back to the real world. Meanwhile at the hotel, manager Seong Chil rushes through the halls and bursts into Ma's room, where Ma, who was sleeping, gets startled by the sudden entrance. The manager apologizes for the intrusion, saying he was worried, but Ma reassures him and reminds him of his rank in the round. Both agree the round was chaotic and exhausting. Ma remembers he killed just over 430 people, and wonders what kind of beast Black Scythe must be to have killed over 700. The manager thinks the hero could be a special operations commando or someone with similar skills, based on the abilities he showed. Ma thinks deeply about Black Scythe's amazing feats, and decides that, no matter who he is, he wants him as a comrade. He plans to ask the Prophet Min about the hero. Song Chil points out that the round went exactly as Min predicted, even though they doubted it at first, but the doubt cleared as the round went on. Ma agrees, remembering their meeting and what Min told him. The manager asks Ma how to move forward with the Prophet, and Ma says the company's future will depend on him, even if it means changing markets. He adds there are stronger reasons to keep Min on their side, and warns Song Chil not to offend Min, telling him to agree with everything Min says to earn his trust and gain fortune. Song Chil agrees. Ma then asks Song Chil to call Min and invite him and his family to a party, along with actress Erin Seo. We cut to a local coffee shop, where my buddy Min is waiting for Jury after asking her out for lunch. She shows up, they say hi, and hop into his car. Jury says she made it through the 4th round because of his predictions, and Min wonders how she trusted him so completely. She replies that she knew he had nothing to gain by lying, and thanks him for the intel on round 4. Min gets that Jury, with her protection rune, could have survived the round by herself, unlike Eren, who he likens to a fragile flower growing inside a greenhouse. Jury, on the other hand, had to toughen up in the harsh outside world. They pull up to a restaurant where the table is loaded with all kinds of dishes. She thanks Min for the lunch, and they start eating. But she hesitates, her mind stuck on the guilt of the lives she took during the round. Min, feeling her distress through his thought rune, tells her not to blame herself for killing other players. He reminds her that everyone, him included, had to do whatever it took to survive. Jury breaks down in tears, but Min, in a firm voice, tells her to stop, pointing out that her family is waiting for her to come back from every game world. She pictures the grief her dad would feel if she died, clenches her fists, and hardens her resolve. She thanks Min for the comfort, and Min says he wanted her to feel better by sharing a tasty meal. They keep eating, and Min notices Jury getting more relaxed and casual around him. After a bit, Min waits for her to settle down before getting to the point. He tells her he has some important info about the next round he needs to share. Min says round 5 will be the toughest yet, because the player maps will merge into bigger ones. Jury, worried, wonders if they'll meet in the other world. Min, however, lies and says it won't happen anytime soon, knowing she'd waste precious time looking for him otherwise. He wants to help her while staying hidden, so he advises her to ask Black Scythe for help to boost her survival chances. Jury is shocked by Min's suggestion and confirms they're talking about Black Scythe, the player who topped the world map. Min reassures her that it's not just asking for help, but forming an alliance with the infamous hero. Jury wonders why someone so high-ranking would help her, but Min says she can cast buffs on him in exchange for his aid. Even though Jury sees the value of Black Scythe's help, she stays hesitant. Min assures her he's seen the future, and the main player will keep helping her in the upcoming rounds. Relieved, Jury thanks Min by casting a buff on him because she hates feeling indebted. After that, Min heads back home. With the buff boosting his stats by 50%, Min heads out to kill mealworms, raising his slaughter rune stats by another 100%. His luck climbs to 84 stat points. He then pulls a base-tier magic crystal ticket from his inventory and thinks about how any regular person would pray to God for good results, but not him. He believes God must have created this brutal survival game just to mess with humans, and vows to wish something terrible on God once he finishes the final round, saying he plans to wish for God's death. Min uses the base-tier magic crystal ticket and gets 5 base-tier magic crystals, 2 red, 1 yellow, 1 green, and 1 purple, which is the most crystals a player can receive. He's amused by the irony of just talking badly about God, yet his luck stays so good. He merges the 2 base-tier red crystals into a low-tier red crystal, a higher-level crystal. Then he combines the purple crystal with the one Aaron gave him, making a low-tier magic crystal. After that, he attaches the red crystal to his hood, boosting his damage, and the purple crystal to his dark shadow gloves, raising all his stats by 2 points. He then slots the yellow crystal into his ring of resistance to lift his luck, the green crystal into his agile boots to boost his speed, and finally the navy crystal into his assassin suit, lowering incoming damage by 1%. Satisfied with his gear, the protagonist feels ready to face Ma again. The next day, one asks his brother if the chief executive officer of the Asung conglomerate is his son, and Min confirms, saying they've been invited to a party hosted by him. One panics, wondering if he's even allowed at such an event, but Min reassures him they're definitely invited and fixes his tie. Suddenly, the doorbell rings, startling one. When they open the door, they see their neighbor Seong Kael standing there to escort them. One, shocked, hides behind his older brother. Min introduces one to Seong Kael, who remembers their earlier meeting and hands one his business card. He apologizes for his rude behavior at their first meeting and explains the party is a formal apology. Seong Kael tells them a limousine is waiting outside their apartment. When they arrive at Ma's hotel, they are greeted by the chief executive officer himself. Ma says he's relieved they're both still alive and asks if the gentleman with Min is his brother. Min formally introduces one, and Ma extends his hand for a handshake. One, still confused, ends up shaking with the wrong hand. Ma asks one if he's a player, one says no, and Min adds that his brother is about to turn 14. Ma says one is lucky he didn't have to play the game. Ma walks them into a fancy room set up for the party. The dining table looks like it belongs to royalty, with gourmet dishes on display, and the chef and hostess are there to greet them. One is blown away by the setup, so Ma pretends to be humble and says the food might not be a lot, but it should be enough for everyone. One wonders why Ma feels the need to downplay such an extravagant spread. Just as they're about to start eating, the door opens and, to Min's surprise, Aaron walks in. Ma gets up to welcome Aaron, who apologizes for being late and says she was at a fellow actor's funeral. Ma excuses her and introduces her to Min as one of the company's shareholders. Aaron introduces herself, but stops when she realizes the brothers are the neighbors who gave her rice cakes. She smiles and greets them, thinking that Min being a shareholder at such a young age must be some prank by Ma. His heart practically jumps out of his chest as he asks his brother in disbelief if they're really standing in front of the actor Aaron's CEO. Min sees that one has no idea about Aaron's link to Ma and wonders if his brother's reaction is normal. Deciding to go along, Min pretends to be interested too. Ma notices their reaction and thinks the young prophet is under his control, expecting him to be impressed by Aaron's presence. After the greetings, Ma invites everyone to sit down and enjoy the meal. At the table, one quickly passes the food to his brother. Ma asks Min if he likes the food, noting that he asked the chefs to pay special attention to the preparation. Both Min and One compliment the food, and Ma sighs with relief, saying he had the chefs rehearse the dishes several times to get them just right. Ma then asks why Min only brought his brother and not the rest of his family. Min says his brother is his only family because their parents have passed away. Ma offers his condolences, but he realizes his question has unintentionally dampened the mood. Feeling the tension, he stays silent for a moment, giving his guests time to recover from the awkwardness. The silence in the room feels almost suffocating as dessert is served. Ma senses the heavy tension and struggles to find a way to lighten the mood. Desperately, he looks at Erin, hoping she'll pick up the cue and start a conversation, but she doesn't. Feeling the weight of the moment, Ma abruptly stands and asks Erin to talk with him privately. He leads her down a hallway and asks if she enjoyed the meal. She answers with delight, but Ma's face darkens as he looks at her with a disappointing stare. He admits he invited her just to keep the atmosphere cheerful, and she apologizes, saying she thought she was only invited to a party. Ma, not satisfied, presses her on why she thought she would be invited to such a grand occasion. He asks if Seong Chul told her anything about the guest, and she says he mentioned Min is the biggest shareholder. Ma then drops the shocking truth that Min is the majority shareholder, and more importantly, a prophet who can see the future. In a cold, calculated tone, Ma stresses the need to set the right mood for Min so he'll give them info about the next round. He demands that Erin use her looks to charm Min and win his favor. Erin objects, not wanting to be used like that, but Ma reminds her he made her a successful actress and expects her to repay him. He insists she build a relationship with Min by any means, promising to keep a close eye on her progress. Back in the room, the atmosphere stays tense. Everyone is silent, not sure how to break the awkwardness. Ma opens the door, apologizes for the interruption, and explains he has business matters to discuss with Erin. He then suggests they change locations now that they're done eating. As the group leaves the room, Erin tries to approach Min but hesitates. Just then, one starstruck fan blurts out that he's a huge fan of hers and compliments her beauty. He asks if he can take pictures with her, and she agrees with a warm smile, easing the tension for a moment. Seeing this, Ma quickly messages Erin, urging her to get closer to Min's younger brother. This makes her uncomfortable, feeling like she's being asked to approach a pure-hearted fan with hidden motives. Ma thinks winning the younger brother's affection will automatically catch the older brother's attention, giving him a chance to gather info about the next round. He leads them to a private room, offers drinks and music, but Min declines and tells Erin to go outside and take pictures with his brother. When they're alone, Min looks at Ma and asks if he really thinks the hero is an idiot. Ma tries to play it off, but Min reminds him that as a prophet, he already knows about his talk with Erin. After we left Ma totally stunned, I told him straight up that he doesn't have to hide anything from a prophet. I turned to Ma and called him out for trying to sneak something past us, and that instantly sent the chief executive officer into a panic. I calmly repeated the same order I gave Erin earlier, but Ma rushed to spin it into a generous gesture. Things went south when Ma pulled someone into his little scheme, clearly crossing the line, and as soon as he realized it, he apologized right away and braced himself for whatever punishment might follow. Because his apology felt genuine, I decided not to press the issue, and the chief executive officer gratefully thanked me for being forgiving. Just then, Seong Chul burst in, and Ma scrambled quickly to hide everything that had just happened. He turned to his manager and told him to lead the group into the next room so he could have a private chat about something urgent. As the bodyguard quietly left, Ma started beating himself up in his head for upsetting his prophet again. I snapped him out of it and casually dropped some info about the next round. Ma was floored that I already knew the real reason behind the celebration, but with all the shady stuff going on, trusting me didn't come naturally. He apologized again, but I told him there could be no more secrets between us and made it clear that Ma needs to keep a tight grip on the other shareholders. My mood lit up when I saw how well-behaved the chief executive officer suddenly became, and I promised to take the company to new heights, even sharing details for round 5. I then let him know this next round is going to be the toughest yet, though I figure Ma should handle it without too much trouble. I revealed that each player will have to take down 300 orcs in the upcoming round, but it won't be simple because the zones will start merging, which immediately put the chief executive officer on edge. I continued that the zones are combining because there aren't enough players left. There simply aren't enough players left.